5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
They've landed.
You're in the right place. Online, on the web, and on air. All over the world.
Talk radio.
You hear us, we hear you.
Yeah, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the KTPF Community Talk Show, here live from Manchester in the UK, where we're keeping the paranormal friendly. Isn't that right, Steve?
We are indeed, yes. Got to keep it friendly, guys.
And talking about keeping it friendly, we do have friends of ours in the hub this evening. We'd like to say hello and a welcome return to Mr. Chris Andrews.
Hi, hello.
How are you?
We're all right, thanks very much. Yourself?
Not too bad.
Grand. And how's everybody out there?
And not forgetting our guest
Observationist.
Observationist tonight, Emma.
Hi everyone.
She's sitting over there just off camera at the moment, which she prefers, don't you?
Yes, I like to be in the dark.
Yeah, so right, so basically just to let you know what's happening tonight.
Typical investigator, that, isn't it?
She is,
Likes to be in the dark.
What we're going to do is we're going to be speaking to Chris throughout the show, and around about 8:30 we're going to be talking to a young man from Spain, and hopefully I get his name right, but his name's Pablo. That bit's easy. Pablo Solares Acebal or Acebal, something like that. And
Remember the golfer?
Remember the golfer?
The golfer.
What golfer?
The Spanish golfer had the same last name.
Go on and tell me.
Acebal.
Yeah. Right, okay. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking to Pablo later on, and we'll be talking to him about his new book, which is called The 6th of November, and he says it's a ghost story, and it's all about the Civil War. So we'll be finding out more about that later. But what we have got here tonight, as I said, we've got Chris with us, Chris Andrews from ClubZero, and we're going to be talking about his highs and lows as part of the paranormal world, which he's been in for quite many years, haven't you?
It's 11. Well, ClubZero's 11 years. May this year.
But you was in it before then, weren't
Yeah, I was founder of another organisation before that. Some bobs slightly before that, so it's been
so you've
years.
Over 11 years, and plus you've got a lot to talk about.
Have we all got 11 years to kill? It's going to be a long night.
Yeah, well, not only do
well, when they've all gone to bed, we can keep going and just top it up for the next 6 weeks.
Now, not only do we have Chris here to tell us his experiences, we want to hear yours as well. So if you fancy talking to us tonight live on the show, you can please ring 0844 414 3982 and tell us about your experiences. Okay, so don't forget, when the line's open, you can talk to us live on the chat on the KTPF Community Talk Show about your own experiences within the paranormal, places that you've gone to and everything else. Now, before we go over to our observationist for the evening, Emma, I'm just going to say hello to a few people in the chat room, give you a few shout outs. We've got John from the Norwich Paranormal Society, and he's there. We also have Peter, who's also known as Martin Cooper, and or rather Martin Cooper, who's also known as Peter. And then we've got Andy 707, otherwise known as our Bob, the builder.
Oh no, it's not. Oh no, it's not.
Or Tigger.
No, it's not.
Oh no, Andy 707.
Andy Mercer.
Andy Mercer, that's it. Sorry, Andy 707.
I don't know.
Nice to see you back in the chat room. He said. Nice to see you back in the chat room, Andy. We hope we'll hear your dulcet tones on the show tonight. And let's see who else. We've got Jo Alton. She's also from ClubZero, as well as Martin Cooper. We also have ClubZero 2, which confused now. Is that still Martin?
I'm not sure, I'm confused myself.
I think that's Michaela.
I don't know, but he seems to be speaking a foreign language.
ClubZero 2.
Do you have ClubZero 2?
Well, Martin usually uses that handle, ClubZero 2, but
yeah,
it looks like
it is
he's
Martin.
Peter.
Yes, it is.
He's decided to change it. So.
I think that might be Michaela.
I thought we had a
ClubZero 2.
new recruit there for a few minutes.
So we've got a few people in the chat room. So I'm sure there's plenty of you out there as well who have got some stories to tell us about places that you've been to, and maybe your favourite place that you've visited and got some experience. So we want to hear from you as well. So don't be left out. Join us, okay? Now, as I said, we're going to go over to Emma, and we'll see what we have to find out from the observations this week.
Okay, thanks. Okay, first up, according to Norse mythology, the world should have ended yesterday. Norse mythology states the world will end this Saturday, February 22nd, but we've obviously survived it. We survived the main apocalypse and Y2K, but the end of the world is coming again, apparently. This time it's a Viking apocalypse that is allegedly set to destroy Earth, with Norse mythology claiming the planet will split open and unleash the inhabitants of Hell on February 22nd. According to the Vikings, Ragnarok, I hope I said that right, is a series of events including the final predicted battle that results in the death of a number of major gods, the occurrence of various natural disasters, and the subsequent subversion of the world and water. People in York dress as Vikings as part of the Jorvik Viking Festival. This comes as a Viking community prepare for the Norse apocalypse called Ragnarok this Saturday, in which the earth is predicted to split open and the gods will battle for supremacy. The wolf I can't pronounce all these words. Fenrir is also predicted to break out of his prison. The snake, another one, Gormungand, will rise out of the sea, and the dragon of the underworld will resurface on Earth to face the dead heroes of Valhalla, who of course have descended from heaven to fight them. Legend has it that the sound of the horn will call the sons of the gods, Odin, and the heroes to the battlefield, before Odin and the other creator gods will be killed by Fenrir. The Vikings believe that the Ragnarok is preceded by the winter of winters. We've had some really bad winters, so you never know, where three freezing winters would follow each other with no summers in between. All morality would disappear, and fights would break out all over the world, signalling the beginning of the end. The wolf's skull would then devour the sun, and his brother Haiti would eat the moon, causing the stars to fall out of the sky and the earth subjected to tremendous earthquakes. Should Saturday be the day, the world will then be restored and will be inhabited by the surviving gods and just 2 human survivors, with the earth sinking into the sea and paving the way for a new utopian land with endless supplies. Another part of the legend claims that Midgard serpent, named Gormungand, shall free itself from the tail and rise up from the ocean, with believers claiming this had already occurred when 2 giant fish washed up on the coast of California last year. Ragnarok, which is literally translated to mean fate or twilight of the gods, or final destiny of the gods, is based on a 13th century poem written by, Snorri Sturluson.
No.
See, now you know how you feel.
Yeah. Now, Emma,
I know, it's harder than it looks.
Sounds a bit like Stockport, that actually.
I know you found that as well as I did. Can you remember where it said he got the date from?
Yeah.
Because Andy707, he says he knows a lot about this bit, and he recognises everything we said, apart from the date. He said, where did we get it from?
Did it say?
I have no idea. It just says I've read this over a few different things. It said this, the 22nd of February. I've read it for the past few months. His article keeps popping up.
We're a bit late then.
We're
But
dead.
But
it was meant to be yesterday,
How do we know that
we might be in limbo. We might be in limbo. You never know.
Well, this is it. How do we know we're not spirits here?
We might actually be. It might just be
Or
a quick flick of the wrist.
We might be the
and
only
that's it.
survivors. You never know.
Yeah.
Well,
Like the film goes.
I actually,
the others.
Yes.
I actually read today that we could actually be a bit like part of the computer program.
I can tell you've passed.
Oh, like the
I can see
Matrix.
right through you.
But I must admit, this Ragnarok thing, if you think about it, when we've had D.A. Roberts on recently, his saga is about the Ragnarok rising as well.
It is. He was kind of calling them zombies, but what the Norse mythology is saying is actually the dead will rise.
Yeah.
The earth will split open and the dead will rise from hell.
Precisely.
So does that mean Elvis is going to make some more hits and things like that?
He went the other way, mate.
Yes.
So
he might be coming back with Thor.
Martin said that maybe we'd be holograms.
Well, I mean, who knows? It's a possibility. I mean, if you think about spirits and ghosts, let's say, and if they see their surroundings around them, maybe they don't know that they've passed on.
No, that's
but who's the ghost? Them or us? You know, who's to say?
It's like that film, The Others, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where they don't know they're
Who's
the
to say?
ghosts.
We might be in a transcendent state of being ourselves.
So what's next then, Emma?
Okay, next up.
And by the way, Martin said, how rude of him. Hello, Emma. He forgot to say hello to you.
Okay, this is a strange but true tale about the ship called, another weird name. Thanks, Steve. Orang Medan.
Yeah, it's Dutch.
Is it? Right. Okay. In June 1947, several ships on the Straits of the Malacca near Sumatra picked up an SOS that included the message, "All officers, including captain, are dead, lying in the chart room and bridge. Possibly whole crew was dead." That was followed by another message from a sender that simply read, "I die." 2 American merchant ships picked up the message, which was identified as coming from the Orang Medan, a Dutch freighter. The closest to the troubled ship was the Silver Star, which sailed full power in hopes of aiding the ship. When it arrived, the ship tried to signal and otherwise contact the Orang Medan, but there was no reply. Upon boarding the ship, the crew of the Silver Star made a shocking and mysterious discovery. Everyone aboard the Orang was dead, including the captain on the bridge, the officers in the wheelhouse, right down to the crewman who sent the message of distress, with his hand still on the Morse code wireless. Every member of the crew lay dead, with their eyes wide open and their mouths agape, as if they witnessed some unspeakable horror before their deaths. No apparent cause for their deaths could be observed. How did they die? Pirates were ruled out because none of the bodies showed any signs of wounds or injury, and there was no blood. The Silver Star decided the thing to do was to tow the ship back to port where the mystery could be sorted out. Before they could leave the area, however, smoke began billowing from the below decks of the Orang Medan, followed by a tremendous explosion that shattered the ship and sent it quickly to the ocean floor. Exactly what killed the crew remains unexplained. One possible explanation is that the crew was overcome by methane gas that bubbled up from the ocean floor and enveloped the ship. More fantastic speculations blamed extraterrestrials. In any case, the deaths aboard have never been conclusively explained, and perhaps never will.
Ooh.
It's a bit like the Mary Celeste, isn't it?
Put that back on, shall we? I was contemplating putting another one on. It is very similar. It was basically about a ship that got stuck in the ice. So they got off the ship and waited for it to crack. But when they went back, the ship had gone. And when it got stuck in the ice again, and the ship's basically been roaming around the ocean with nobody on it.
Weird.
Like the Flying Dutchman there or something.
Yeah.
Strange one.
Only there was actually nobody on it at all because they'd all got off.
Yeah.
Right. Once you said methane, I thought it reminded me of me.
Okay.
Next up, I don't know if anybody's noticed this in the Manchester Evening News or on the website, because it's kind of gone viral at the minute.
Yeah.
Chilling footage of a ghost caught on CCTV at one of the UK's oldest pubs. Spook staff at one of the oldest pubs in Britain believe they have caught a ghost on CCTV. The chilling footage, which appears to show a shadowy figure flickering into view by the bar, was filmed at Ye Old Man and Scythe in Bolton. Manager Tony Dooley spotted the spectre when he checked the cameras on Friday morning and found they had mysteriously stopped recording at 6:18 a.m. So you can actually find the video on YouTube, and I think the Manchester Evening News will still have it on.
Been there, done that. Old Man and Scythe.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, years ago. Yeah.
And
Been there, done that.
Did you pick up on what this might have been?
Well, have any of you guys ever been to a place called Stanley Palace?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's actually there is a link between Stanley Palace and Ye Old Man and Scythe. Lord Stanley, who was the Earl of
Derby, isn't
Derby
it?
or something like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He was arrested from Stanley Palace, and he was taken up to Bolton by the Ye Old Man and Scythe, and that's where he was held. He was held there. And I think the chair's still there, which he sat in his last breakfast and things like that. And he was taken outside and he was executed. I think he was hung outside there. They used to have in the Old Man and Scythe, they used to have the skull in there of the executioner, and I think that went out on loan to some other pub somewhere. They never got it back. But I mean, I don't know. It's when we went in there. I mean, you're going back a few years ago. I can't really say that we experienced anything on a paranormal nature. But the landlord who's there now is a different landlord. I think he's been there since November, December. I think the other landlord, he's passed away. I think. Looking at it, I mean, we've tried to take stills of the video. It's interesting, and who's to say that it's not? But to me, when I looked at one of the stills from there, it looked like somebody wearing one of those hats with those flaps on the side that keep your ears warm when it's snowing outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also, with the way the light flickers as well, it's a little bit stop motion. It looks a bit, but saying that, it's mixed into the CCTV camera, so it want more in-depth looking at. But, I mean, obviously, people look at it and they think, "Ooh, have you seen this?" And it has made the news quite big, like the spinning museum at the spinning statue at the museum at Manchester. It went, you know, but this one seems to have took a bigger turn.
We sussed the statue out first go.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. But
Yeah.
it's taken a bigger turn. Everyone's posting it on Facebook. You see
Yeah.
it. You know, the links are everywhere. So obviously, the news has gone on. BBC Radio Manchester was in there. They did an interview live from there. So it's it's big, but then you got to look at where most people are taking this as paranormal phenomena. You have to look at the video and break it down into look at the still images from it and play it bit by bit and see, what's going on.
I looked at what they put up, and I've never been there, so I don't know the situation where the windows or anything else are. But to me, it could just as easy have been a car going past.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, with the lights and the way things are.
I mean, the only thing that makes it a little bit weird is that the CCTV system stopped.
Well, Andy 707
But that could just as easily been a glitch.
actually said that he thinks the footage looks too good. So, we never know. The verdict's out on that.
He thinks they try to deceive.
We've contacted them and about going back in, and I'm sure many other groups have, but we have contacted them. I spoke to him on the phone. I think it's called Anthony Dooley. We spoke to him on the phone. And he said, send me an email, which we have. We have no reply yet, but obviously it's probably inundated with that many groups wanting to go in there. But but we want the video. What we want to do, I think, and I suppose like any other
analyze
group, analyze that video to see if it warrants. Because you're going to get paranormal groups out there who's just going to say, "Ooh, have you read this? Let's go in," just for the sake of it. But they're going to go in with the hopes and wishes. And what I would say is get the video. I'll try and get access to videos and slow it down frame by frame and analyze the video. A warrant going in before you just go running in just because it's a place to investigate.
Before we go to the next one, Emma, I just want to say a shout out to Burn 14 Me, whatever that means, or Burn 1 for Me. That sounds better, doesn't it? Burn 1 for Me.
Yeah, he's from Pittsburgh.
From Pittsburgh. I don't know whether you're male or female, but welcome to the show. And there's also our friend Bill number 7. He's joined us as well, so it's nice to see people come back and new people.
And we might get Chris later because he said last week that he apologised for not being there, but again this week.
Chris
that comes in.
Right, yes.
I can't remember his last name.
Oh, I know what you mean. Chris Jordan.
That's the one.
Okay. Next, Emma.
Okay. Students and residents claim ghost haunts a school in Jamaica. Students from a popular corporate area high school say that evil spirits from a nearby cemetery have been plaguing their place of learning. So familiar are the ghosts that they do regular visits and call students by their name. Residents of a community close to the school confirm that the institution is built near a popular cemetery. Another one, bizarre tsunami ghost stories haunt Japan. An unusual outbreak has struck Japan in the wake of a 2011 tsunami that killed nearly 20,000 people. Of ghost possessions and exorcisms, Reverend Kaneda, the top priest at a Zen temple, says he personally exorcised several people who have been invaded by the spirits of tsunami victims.
I did actually wonder how long it would be before we started getting stories about tsunami victims. It's,
I knew a ghost who used to haunt a foreign country. And someone said to me, Jamaica. I said, no, he used to haunt on its own accord.
It just changed a very old joke that wasn't very good in the first place.
And made it a little bit worse.
Have you got the ticker tape running across the bottom still?
I have, yes.
Oh, that's fine. Next.
Okay, the Bank of England is said to be haunted by a ghost of a woman called Sarah Whitehead, and she is known as the Black Nun. One witness has reported, and he wanted to keep his name out of the news. He didn't want his name being reported, but he said he saw the ghost in Threadneedle Street, London. While on a short visit to London, he was walking alone in the late evening along Threadneedle Street, near to where the Bank of England is positioned. Suddenly, without warning, this lady was walking towards me, he said, and I don't know where she has appeared from. 1 minute she wasn't there, and the next minute she was. The lady looked strange and was dressed all in black, and what I thought looked like a style from the 1800s. She was wearing a black bonnet with a long veil, and her dress was long and full. I could see her face through the veil, and she looked sad. As I passed her, she glanced up briefly and asked in a soft voice, "Have you seen my brother?" I muttered no in reply. Almost immediately afterwards, I turned around to have another look at her, but she had disappeared. There was no one behind me other than a couple of people walking in the same direction as me. Apparently, the story goes back to Sarah's brother, Sarah Whitehead. Her brother, Philip Whitehead, was employed in the cashier's office at the Bank of England, but he appears to have sticky fingers, and he was found guilty at the Old Bailey of forgery. And they didn't look about in those days, and in 1812 Philip was hanged for his crime. As strange as it sounds nowadays, the death of her brother was kept from Sarah for a long time, but you can't keep such things from hidden forever, and one day she went to the Bank of England and asked to see her brother. The person she was inquiring to told her of her brother's crime. This had a dreadful effect on Sarah and virtually sent her mad. She couldn't accept that anything had happened to her beloved brother, and started visiting the bank every day in search of him. She was also convinced that the bank owed her substantial amounts of money. Day after day, she would cause a disturbance at the bank, upsetting staff and customers. In 1818, the bank realised they had to do something about this and offered Sarah a substantial amount of money. There was one condition, and that was that she must never ever visit the bank again. Sarah kept to the conditions and never returned to the bank until, that is, she died. Following her death, she was often seen at night, still dressed all in black, and inquired to people she met, "Have you seen my brother?" And Sarah came to be known as the Black Nun or the Bank Nun.
I don't think they'll allow investigations there, do you, Chris?
No.
I don't
What about
think
that
so.
story about the prison break, the two ghosts that left the prisons? Did you read that one?
No.
Police are on the hunt for two ghosts because one of them was in trouble for disturbing the priest while the other one was in for possession.
You're in one of them moods, are
I've got a
we?
feeling you've got a lot more.
Private parties.
I don't know.
Disturbing the priest, I won't ask why, but yeah. Possession.
Okay, a reptilian humanoid startled bikers in the Sonoran Desert. A group of 3 mountain bikers reportedly saw a reptilian humanoid last week in the middle of a trail located in the Sonoran Desert. Sonoran, I think it is. The cyclists were riding the 24 hours in the old Pueblo race course, I don't know if I said that right, a 17-mile trail when they spotted the creature. Sounds a bit Doctor Who.
Definitely does.
Yeah.
With the sonic screwdriver.
Yes.
Yes.
Is that your lot, or you got one more?
A few more.
Well, go on then.
Okay. A man has recently claimed to had a near-death experience and visited heaven. An Ohio man is claiming that he travelled to heaven and back during a recent near-death experience. Brian Miller, 41, was hospitalised after suffering a major heart attack. This was during this time. Miller said that he saw the lights at the end of a heavenly tunnel and was told by his recently deceased mother-in-law that he needed to return to his body. So I've been told to refer to you because you had a similar.
Oh, did you now?
experience.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, a long time ago, I was pregnant and I had an ectopic pregnancy, and when I was rushed in to, well, I wasn't actually rushed in. I went to A&E, and they found out it was an ectopic, and they were going to do it, sort of thing. I didn't think nothing of it at the time, but when I came round, they said that I flatlined. Yeah, and because they went in and
Everything went wrong.
everything burst, and they had to deal with that and deal with me because I flatlined. He went, and then you went and flatlined on us. Well, sorry about that, you know. And
yeah, you should have been a bit more considerate there,
I should have been,
you?
shouldn't I? And basically, I do actually remember. I thought it was a dream that I could see my nan, and my Uncle Joe was there, and he turned around and said, "You can't come with us. You've got to go back."
Yeah.
But I've always looked at that and thought it might have been a dream. But
Is that how you perceive it to be? Because does it feel like a dream, or it just seem like a dream? Or how does it feel? Go with your feeling.
It's kind of Sue being her skeptic self.
yeah, yeah.
So she experienced it and then go, well, did I? Like she always does.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just weird. I remember seeing bright light, you know what I mean, and then seeing her, and then it was a case of, you know.
There's a lot of documented reports
Yeah.
that say something.
We had somebody on the show, didn't we, Steve, talking about the minutes just as people are passing. And
Yes, we did.
What experience was that? That was quite interesting.
That was we did.
Yeah.
Bonan has been talking about 2 black-eyed children that he saw when he was younger.
Yes, I might get him on Skype sometime and he can tell us about it.
Yeah,
I love those black-eyed kid stories.
Do you?
Creepy.
We'll have to.
Yeah, but I mean, why do people always assume that they're evil?
That's
I
the
don't
thing, they
know.
could just have really dark eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is that just because of things like Charmed?
I
Where
think
the
I
eyes
don't know,
go
but
black when
we'll
there's a
find
demons
out
about?
more a bit later on.
But
I think it's just
Maybe
a
they
modern
drink too
urban
much
legend,
Guinness.
isn't it?
It
It's
is.
kind of.
It is, but there's also stories of black-eyed people actually saving people out there. So they're not obviously not all evil in any way.
I think it's just it looks sinister, doesn't it? When you
Yeah.
look into someone's eyes and they're like.
But when they
nothing but
come
a black
knocking at your
pool.
door and you're staring at you, you think, "Oh shit, close the door."
Mm.
So I suppose it can be a bit scary, but
Yeah.
If you can download Skype, it'd be
especially
good
if you-
to talk to you
if you-
later on tonight. Or maybe next week.
yeah. I mean, Byrne was about 14 when he saw them, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be quite scary for him. isn't it?
Right,
Yeah.
so is that the last one?
Well, there's one more, but if we've got time, or are we
Go on then,
cutting
quickly.
close?
Yeah.
Okay, scientists claim to have found proof of extraterrestrial life. Scientists at the University of Sheffield and the University of Buckingham claim to have made a fascinating discovery which proves the existence of extraterrestrial life. The recorded images show a body that was found in the stratosphere, recorded with an electron microscope. The body was found by a scientific balloon at an altitude of 27 kilometers from the Earth's surface, and this, according to scientists, proves that it cannot have originated from our planet. These microbes have probably come from somewhere else. The Sheffield scientists say such a relatively large and dense particles could not have remained at these heights for more than 6 hours, making it even less likely they were lofted into the air by some earthly force. Furthermore, the scientists say the particle is remarkably free of soil or any other solid material, suggesting it came from a watery environment and not volcanic debris. And that's it.
Oh, thank you very much, Emma.
Well done.
So, yes, thank you very much. It just goes to show, though, that things are coming into our atmosphere and eventually finding itself on Earth.
Yeah, we're getting closer.
And that don't actually belong. But,
We're going to ask that question a little bit later. I'll write it down, burn one for me. It was actually Mel. So if you could write that down for us, Steve, if that's okay. And what we're going to do is, don't forget, if we do have any questions about the paranormal, we're going to be talking to Chris after our first guest, who's going to be talking about his new book, just to give you a little bit about him. His name is, if I can pronounce it okay, is Pablo Solares Acebal. Is that right? Is that what you said, Steve?
that sounds about right.
Right, okay. And apparently he's written a book regarding the years during the years of the Spanish Civil War, and basically he asked if he could come on the show and talk about it because he says technically it is a ghost story, and it will be coming out in English format because he is Spanish in the UK from March the 9th apparently, but we'll find out a bit more. So what we're going to do is we'll contact him and later club, yes, whatever that is. Okay guys, off for he's doing something.
He's gone off for his tea. He can leave it on. Can't he?
Yeah, he can
in the
leave it on.
background.
Listen.
Leave it on.
Okay, so we're going to contact Pablo, and I'll see you after this short break.
The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store is a one-stop shop for all of your ghost hunting gadgetry needs. Run by ghost hunters for ghost hunters, the shop is filled with all of the latest in investigation equipment, shipped in from all around the world, from high-quality digital dictaphones to EMF pumps, infrared illuminators to laser grid pens, CCTV equipment to data loggers. All of our equipment has already been imported, so you can buy it safe in the knowledge that there will be no hidden costs. And with our postage promise, you'll never pay more than the actual postage price. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.
Yeah, welcome back. That's from our friends down there in East Sussex. And if you want any paranormal equipment, that's just one place to go. But I'm sure there's other paranormal stores around in the UK. Paranormal Exchange Centre. Oh, equipment. Oh, right, okay. Evening, Tigger. Okay, so I've just put the my Skype ID on there for you. Burn one for me. Okay, so hopefully you can contact me there. Right, let's get hold of this young man and see what he's got to say for himself. Your mic is on. Okay, and your mic is on.
Yep.
So if you want to ask some questions, okay, just let us know. All right, so let's contact him. Here we go. It says, hello. Can you hear me? Hello? Are you there? Uh-oh.
We seem to have lost Pablo.
We have lost Pablo for some reason. Pablo, are you there? Hello? Is there anybody there? Hello? I'm not hearing you, Pablo. Don't know why I'm not hearing you. Seem to have a connection
I'm
problem.
going to try again in a couple of minutes, maybe.
I'll try again in a moment. Let's
Okay.
see what happens.
Well,
Let's see what happens. Wonder if it's to do with that. Hold on, I'll try one more time. Hey! Let's try again. Oh, technology. I'm glad you found it as well. No, we seem to have problems. Oh dear. So I'll just type to him. We seem to have problems. We tried it earlier.
we did. He came through nice and clear, doesn't he?
Mm.
Well, while we're trying to get hold of Pablo, we might as well ask Chris the question that Burn for me put up. Do you think England is experiencing more paranormal than the US?
Well, I think that's a hard question, actually. It's a very good question, but it's a hard question, because the US are they're kind of hell-bent on that stuff, aren't they? They love that type of thing anyway, where Halloween is a massive thing over there. But I think the US is a lot bigger in the United Kingdom anyway, so I think maybe on a concentrated level, with the size of the United Kingdom and the size of America, I think maybe that we do, in formation, sort of experience, or we say we experience a lot more paranormal. I think there's a lot more believers in England than there might be in America.
There's also a lot more history here.
There's a lot of history
We
here.
go a lot further back.
Exactly, yeah, a lot of history. But then again, you know,
So that's probably maybe why.
yeah, exactly. I mean, and the atmospheric conditions are slightly different over here as well to what they'd be in America, and you know, the atmospheric conditions play a massive, amount in paranormal activity or alleged paranormal activity. EMF fields might be higher over here in certain parts, you know, or over there, you know.
But I mean, just searching around the net and seeing these different things, they seem, although we might have more places, they seem to be more concentrated in specific buildings. They seem to get more in the actual building.
I think their buildings seem to be more sinister.
Yeah, things like the Whaley House and things like that.
Right, I've got to try again.
You're going to try again?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is now. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Oh, that's better. We can hear you.
Well, now I think I can hear you. I mean, there was an absolute silence.
How are you, Pablo?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? How are you all?
We're fine. We're fine. And happy now you've connected with us.
Okay.
Right, okay. So basically, Pablo, can you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Well, I'm a Spanish author, and I'm started publishing like 2 years ago in Spain. And this year, I decided to start, to translate my first novel into English because I want to, to publish in the Anglophone world, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Now, you contacted us because you wanted to speak to us about your new book, the 6th of November. I'm thinking of my birthday. 6th of September. The 6th of November.
He's not going to rename it because it's your birthday.
And it's set around the Spanish Civil War. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, it was like, well, as you all know, like 75 years ago, and it's like a trauma, a national trauma. But in Spain we have lots of historical fiction related to the Spanish Civil War,
Mm-hmm.
and I think my viewpoint here, it was not to write another another historical novel, but to introduce edgy issues or a bit of horror. Trying to do it a bit more different to what you have on the bookshelf nowadays.
Right, okay. And where would you say the ghost aspect comes into it?
Well, the title, you mean?
No, you say that it's a bit of a ghost story as such.
Yeah, when you have the main, I inspired myself in a house in a village,
Mm-hmm.
which actually exists. The name of Requejador exists as a real village, and I decided to introduce dark characters, which are not very common because they are supposed to be living isolated. And thanks to that, the storyline and is inspired on past events, but also to nightmares.
Yes.
Actually, it's a novel of nightmares.
Right. So we start off, don't we, with the town priest, and he's writing his memoirs. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, it is.
Don Paco, is it?
Yeah, actually, he's narrator, and he's actually guiding the readers,
Mm-hmm.
because he wants the readers to believe, to believe him and his viewpoint.
Yeah, and he tells the story of basically Gloria's family, and the trouble sort of thing, and the anguish between two brothers who are basically fighting against each other.
Yes.
When it comes to the army,
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
can you
In
tell us a
fact-
bit more?
A bit like North and South in America.
Can you tell us a bit more?
Yeah, actually, when you have the story itself is like a mirror. You have like two generations of Glorious on the one hand, but her mother-in-law, who suffered a very similar relationship with her husband. Their marriages failed, and when they fight, not just in the war, but also in the into the family itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like question of the history repeats itself, not just in history books, but also in families. Sometimes that kind of things happen.
Yeah. And obviously, once the husband dies, she finds out about an affair that happened. and the possibility of Maria being a love child.
Yes, and with Maria, the child, I mean the baby,
Mm-hmm.
She was born in a moment when that relationship was broken. So she's actually the real victim of my novel. She's the consequence of that disaster.
Right. Okay. And obviously you put yourself into this character, I assume, whilst you was writing the book. Did you?
Um, can you repeat because there's an echo somewhere.
Right. What I mean is, when you was writing the book, how did you feel within yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I started writing after the passing of my mother, and actually that influenced me to write about a very in a very emotional perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not just because I like wars in the sense of historical terms. I mean, I loved it
Yeah.
in that sense, but the thing of including a village which is close to mine, and the fact of portraying uh, pictures which actually belong to my family, actually I think that helped me to write in a very personal way.
Yeah, I can understand that. And you've read obviously a lot of Virginia Woolf, I believe. Believe she's your favourite, one of your favourite writers.
Yes, my all-time favorite.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
you got some of the techniques from her.
Yes, actually, it's a very modern. I mean, in the way of writing, formally speaking, that thing of being inside the mind of the characters, and not just um, a single story in practical terms, but the way I portray my characters is actually a reference to her writing.
Right. Okay. Now, you're saying that it's obviously coming out in English March the 9th. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
And that's in the UK and Australia.
Yes, actually, I decided to release the novel in the UK on that day you said, but May in the US and also in Australia in June.
Right. Okay. So, how do you hope? I believe this is being put into a film.
Well, actually, it's been an incredible experience because it's my first time dealing with a director. I've never been. I mean, I know anything about it, and I met Daniel Cabrero, who lives close to me, so to speak, and produces very similar um, projects. I mean, such as mine. And I decided to show him my work, and he actually liked it a lot. And that's why we decided to work together in partnership in order to shoot a movie based on my novel.
That's fantastic. Really is. My husband's got a question for you, Steve.
Hi, Pablo.
Hi. Hello.
What authors inspired you to write?
Apart from Virginia Woolf. Was there any other authors?
Oh yeah, I mean there are many. In fact, I know if it's very known there in the UK, but the main idea of this novel was based on Juan Rulfo's Pedro Páramo, and actually I think there is a translation in case you want to check it. And the idea of the village and the idea um, of producing a very tragic relationship was based in his work.
Mm-hmm.
I also studied English literature here at the university, and actually I must say I'm very influenced by many classic writers, such as Milton or um, or even that poems the war, but that's the more general because I tend to read many things about the war.
Is that what inspired you to write a novel about this? Because of the Spanish Civil War? Because of your interest in it?
Yes, actually, when I started writing, I mean the original, the Spanish version, was like 5 years ago, and I wasn't really into historical fiction as such because I was studying at the high school back then,
Hmm.
but I really like period novels and
Yeah.
period movies. So I think that's why I decided to do it in that way.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on and telling us about your book, Pablo. And I wish you all the best of luck with it. And hopefully, we'll see a film.
Where can we get the English version?
Where can we get the English version? Is it where can we buy it?
The book, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, on Amazon.
And Amazon. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. .co.uk. Good old Amazon. So, well,
Okay.
thank you very much, Pablo.
Thank you so much.
And
Bye.
all the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was Pablo, and I'm not sure what he meant by the ghost. I think he was more on about the ghost of the Civil War, really. But
Yeah.
but we wish him all the best of luck with that.
Yeah, it's good.
So,
Well, they're having
and it's going into a film,
It is.
which is
That's
something that's quite
which is brilliant, especially for a first-time author.
yeah. Poor D.A. Roberts, he's hoping that Ragnarok will be a film.
No,
That sounds like a good TV series, actually.
It does, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Ragnarok Saga.
Yeah.
So, da-da-da.
They're having a little discussion on here about
Oh, good.
history and that and in the US and England and now we're getting into UFOs and
Oh,
aliens.
UFOs and aliens.
Yes.
So, but well, this is it. So, this is the sort of thing we're looking for because
Much of of what we believe today came from the Egyptians.
at the end of the day, when it comes
Or
to
the Sumerians.
the paranormal, we are looking for guests always, and it's like Burn One for me. He said about black-eyed children and people. If we can find somebody who can talk about all this,
Well, we did
that'd
have
be
somebody
brilliant.
coming on that wanted to know about shadow people and black eyed
Yeah,
people,
and
because he was writing a book.
Precisely. Yeah, I don't know how he's got on with that. We'll have to get hold of him and see how he's progressing.
I think he's going to be at the.
But we are
at the
looking
Weird
for
Weekend in
ideas.
August.
Yes, we are looking at ideas, aren't we?
We are.
For the sort of guests that will come under the genre of the paranormal, cryptozoology, conspiracy theories, things like that, and obviously ufology. So if you have any ideas of a topic, we will try our darndest to get somebody on that is in that field. Isn't that right, Steve? And I can actually tell you that regular listeners to the KTPF that I've been trying painstakingly to get hold of Wade Davis to talk about his Haiti journey and the zombies and everything about this pufferfish and what have you.
The original.
I finally got him.
Yes, we got Wade. He's coming on soon.
Yeah, so more about that is coming up later. So before we go on to Chris, what we'll do is should we do the paranormal events now?
Yeah, great thing.
Yeah,
Andy said, have you guys wanted Ancient Alien TV series? Andy said he loves it, even though it's made by the Scientologists.
Scientologists. I've watched. Somebody said he's watched it. I tell you, because it's blue, I can't see the names.
Yeah, Andy Cooper is waiting for the new series.
Andy Cooper, you are too blue. I cannot make out your name.
I'm a bit blue too.
Yes, you are. I can't even see yours either.
Mind you, that's because you've got a black background. We've got white.
That's precisely it. And I can't see it. Look, it's awful.
Go on in.
Right, we're going to do the events, get them out of the way, because I'm sure we've got a lot to talk about with these guys. So we'll see you in a moment.
All the news right here. Don't go away.
Fed up of wading through the activities and events that other advertisers include? Find just what you're looking for at paranormaleventsforyou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Okay, for all you For all you out there, right, we've got these forthcoming events. On the 27th of February, Psychic Supper in Leicester at the Molly O'Grady's at Hotel Street in the city centre. And for more information, contact paranormaluk.co.uk. If you are in the Kent area, or you can get to the Kent area, on the 1st of March, there's a ghost hunt at Tunbridge Castle, reputedly England's finest example of the moat and Bailey Castle, with a splendid 13th century gatehouse, kings and archbishops, tyrants and heroes, murderers and mercenaries, all of whom have helped to write some 900 years of English history. And for more details, you can find out at compassparanormal.co.uk. Back at Molly O'Grady's on the 1st of March also, there you join us on an overnight ghost hunt. That's paranormaliuk.co.uk. This is an extremely active building in the centre of Leicester, a Grade 2 3-storey building. This building is only 100 yards from where they found the bones of King Richard III underneath the car park. On March the 1st and the 2nd at Malone Lodge, Belfast, at Engleteen Avenue, Malone Road, Belfast in Antrim, there is a unique first-of-a-kind event to ever be held in Northern Ireland. It is the product of many discussions between two voluntary investigation teams here, IPI and Spirit. The event is open to all, and they feel that they have a good broad range of speakers that will suit everyone, from those in established teams to skeptics, debunkers, believers, and those that just have a general interest in all things paranormal. From fairy lore to witchcraft in Ireland, ufology, analysis of your evidence, psychic medium, and exorcism in Ireland. You can find out more by emailing info@allirelandparacon.com, twitter.com irish_para_con, or Facebook, All Ireland Paracon. Find out more from there. On the 6th of March, it's back to Molly O'Grady's for another psychic supper in Leicester. And why it says that, I don't know. Let's get rid of that. And on 15th of March, 15th of March, Blackpool Pleasure Beach. I was a bit confused about this address, actually. I thought it was an American address. 525 Ocean Boulevard in Blackpool. And the most famous ghost story at the Pleasure Beach is that of the ghost train ride. The ride, which dates back over 80 years, is apparently haunted by the ghost of a resentful ride worker who died over 20 years ago. The deposit is optional. Option is available, and that's with compassparanormal.co.uk. Also with Compass, on the 22nd of March, you can go join them at RAF Hampton, which was first built in 1951 to 1953, deep underground in a former nuclear bunker, surrounded by the ghosts and spirits of the servicemen that once worked there. With over 15,000 personnel having passed through RAF Hampton, this is no surprise that it has a great deal of paranormal activity, and they have exclusive access to the areas that have not been open for 30 years. So you can find out more from there, and a deposit option is also available. Spooksavers, they're off on the 22nd of March. They're going to the Viaduct Tavern in Newgate Street, London. The Viaduct Tavern stands opposite the Central Criminal Courts, better known over the world over as the Old Bailey. It dates from 1875 and is the last example of a late Victorian gin palace left in the city of London. So you can contact spooksavers.co.uk. Also on the 22nd of March, you can book through fromtheotherside.org.uk and go to Great House Midgley, Halifax in West Yorkshire. Originally Great House Farm, it is and has been one of the original buildings in this small village of Midgley. Built in the 1600s, this place has been a farm, a prayer house, a shop, and even a post office. And this extraordinary building has more than ghosts to offer. The history behind Great House could be a bit little bit frightening. On the 29th of March, Rifles Museum, the Wardrobe, the Close Salisbury in Wiltshire, also known as the Wardrobe Rifle Museum. The Rifle Museum is a military museum. There has been buildings on this site since 13th century, and part of the current structure dates back to the 1540s. And again, that's with Compass Paranormal. Don't forget, there are 2 mediumship tours going on around the UK. You have Tony Stockwell demonstrating his belief that those who have passed can communicate to their loved ones. Find out where he's performing at www.tonystockwell.com and click events. And also our very own Derek Acora. You can find out where he's appearing near you by checking his website at derekacora.com. So check out the one-stop paranormal directory for more investigations and events, available now. ParanormalEventsForYou.com also offers banner advertising for only £10 per year. See our website for more details. ParanormalEventsForYou.com, your one-stop paranormal directory. Yeah, well, that's the events for up to the end of March. So yes, March is coming upon us.
I think you find that's Andy, not mine.
Oh, is it? All right, Andy.
Well, maybe we can get both Andys on. I mean, you can just sit back and shut up and let them get on with it.
Yeah, why not? So
do an alien show.
Andy said he's been to the tavern many times.
Yeah, he's also been to Tunbridge Castle and he said it was very good.
So
then you want to go? You know where it is?
Whoever was talking about aliens and said about shutting up now, why don't you come on the show sometime and talk about it? That's what I was saying.
That's Andy
Cooper. Is he from the club?
Yeah.
Is he the guy with glasses?
Yeah, he's Martin's brother.
Oh, right. Yeah. Right, okay. So, anyway, so Pablo says thanks, it was great. So I'll just say thank you to him.
That's nice of him.
It was nice of him. And anyway, well, let me tell you now, we are live on air, as you know. And if you want to tell us about your experiences whilst being in the paranormal, you can ring us on 0844 414 3982. Or you can Skype us at ktpf.paranormalshow. So if you're interested in doing so. Now, what we're going to do, he's got a microphone.
Well, Skype us.
Skype us. So basically, what we're going to do now is we're going to talk to Chris.
Hi.
Chris Andrews.
Hello.
From ClubZero,
Hello.
as well as other reputable companies.
Aye.
Well, groups, I should say, not companies.
From the past.
From the past. So when did you start getting into all this?
Well, a good few years ago, obviously before the club days. You know.
Why did you start going into it?
It was because of personal experiences, you know, and I think maybe the majority of people when they're children and things like that, or young adults, may have experiences, you know, and you hide under the blankets in your bed, you know, and all that type of thing. Some people choose, you know, they might have 1 or 2 experiences and then forget about it, and then one day someone's talking and they reflect on it, you know, it just comes up. Other people, you know, and then they ignore it and go, no, you know, don't pursue it. Some people have multiple that go on for various, you know, times in their lives, ongoing. And you sort of kind of shy away from it because it's frightening, isn't it? You know, you think, oh my God, what the hell? And then one day you sit there and choose to think, well, oh, you know what? There's something going on here, and you pursue it rather than shy away from it. I think for me personally, it started as far as I can remember. Anyway, was my first experiences was 9 years of old. You know, 9 years of old, 9 years of age.
Oh yeah, and what was that then?
It was. I used to live in a town called Abingdon, which is about 7 miles from Oxford. You know, not that we were well to do or anything by no means, but we used to live there. And my father was he was like a store manager, because where we used to live, it was like a big supermarket. I mean, you're going back in 1970 whatever, because I'm only young, so it was 1970 something. And we moved down there because we're originally I'm from Bacup, you know, up in, Rossendale. Yeah.
I was just southern to say, back up.
Back up.
And back up, man. You know, and we moved down there, and he got this job, and he was like a store manager, so it was like Tesco's. It was a shop called Oak Shots, OAKSHOTS, and it was on a street in Abingdon called Ox Street, OCK, and it's the only street I think that I know of in Europe that has a fair once a year. You can research this online, you know, you can get it. And the fun fair, they cut off the whole road and it goes all the way up just the main street, just one street, you know, and they have this festival. And anyway, it's like a supermarket. It was like Tesco's meets whoever, you know, there's a bit of advertising there for Tesco.
Yeah.
And on top of it was the Amityville house. Like, you know, and we used to live there, and it was floor after floor after floor, from what I remember. Now, if there was such thing as a real haunting, the memory of this is an actual haunting, I suppose, because it depends how you differentiate the name haunting. Mm-hmm. So I was 9, naive, didn't know anything about ghosts, didn't know anything about spirits, I couldn't even ride a bike. I couldn't do it. I don't even think I could pick my nose properly without being told off. But, you know. And I remember we were there, and next door to this where we lived was a picture house. I think it was called the Regal Picture House, and it was joined on. Now Abingdon's an really old town anyway, so you know, massively old. And I remember one day, if you went up into the house, you came to a corridor where there was all storerooms down there, and the bedrooms was down there. And then you went up a flight of stairs, you was into the living room. Another flight of stairs, you was into the kitchen and the bathroom. Another flight of stairs, you was into the master bedroom at the top. You know. And one day my father and my mother said to me, Chris, you're in that bedroom tonight. You're in our bedroom, master bedroom. I thought, wee, great. Feel like the man of the house, you know, like you do, because I was obviously sharing a room with my brother, you know. So I thought, yeah, that'll do for me. So I went to bed. You know, you didn't think of anything paranormal or ghosts. You just didn't hear anything like that at the time. And I remember being laid in bed, and I've told this story countless times, you know, but I suppose it's the essence and the roots where it's all come from, I suppose. But I've said it on radio, GMR, things like that. And I remember laid in bed. Yeah. But there's no place like the KTPF. No place like the KTPF. Where membership's just a smiley face.
He's right with that last bit.
It's very true. Look, I'm smiling. So I'm a fully pledged member now. So you guys are smile as well. You fully pledged memberships. Okay, so yeah, we was there, you know, laid in the bed, and I remember the curtains being shut, but I think it was open about an inch maybe, and it was a very moonlit sort of scenario outside, because there was plenty of moonlight coming through, so you could see more or less into the centre of the room from it. And I remember just laid there, I was dead excited, you know, twiddling my thumbs. Yeah. Emphasise twiddling my thumbs, you know, but I just laid there. And I thought, oh, this is great, this is the life, this. I've got my own room, dead excited. The landing light was off, it was pitch black, you know. And now I wouldn't have associated that house with the Amityville house if I hadn't seen the Amityville since. Yeah. I didn't know it then. So I remember laid there, and then suddenly, people will think, like, you said, this is like a bit far-fetched, or it's a little bit, no, it couldn't have happened. But as I say, it is exactly how I remember it. But I'm not saying it was a real event, it could have been a dream. Yeah. But it was a vivid dream for a 9-year-old. And I remember laid there, and the bedroom door opened, and it was pitch black. Yeah. Outside the door, and it just opened and stayed there, and nothing happened, you know. And I thought, you know what to do? Oh, never mind, you know. And then, to me, and this is going to sound far-fetched and crazy, but it's true. It really is true. A figure came through the door, silent, not a sound. Nothing, just came in the door. Now, when I say figure, imagine, I remember it being like what I would say as an old man with a walking stick. But imagine, take the body away, and it's just the head and the walking stick. Yeah. Now, the head and the walking stick was the same colour. They'd be like a translucent white, bluish tinged type of look, with a bit of a swirly, gassy mist type of around them, a bit like, you know, what you'd see on a typical black and white film or something, you know, or how it was portrayed. So this would just come floating into the bedroom, and then stop at the foot of the bed, and then the head and the walking stick both turned at the same time towards me, were on the bed, and then the walking stick lifted and pointed, but instead of pointing directly at me, I think it was like just pointing a little bit above me. And then without moving its lips or without saying anything, with no movement, the voice, whether it was in my head, uttered the words "damn you." And honestly, and I thought, oh, right, okay, under the blankets, because it's safe under the blankets, isn't it? It's a safeguard under the blankets. Excuse me. Next morning, I got up and remember my parents asking me, "Did you sleep all right? Was you all right? All right?" I said, "Well, did anything happen?" And I thought, well, yeah, but I'm going to get into trouble for swearing. And, no, you won't. No, you won't. What happened? So I told them, what had happened. And all I remember is my parents looking at each other. They never said a word about it. They never said anything since then. I mean, they're both deceased now, so I'll never get the true answers from them now. And I should have asked them, really, but I didn't. And they both looked at each other. The same day, my dad went and handed his notice. He packed his job in on the same day. We never stayed in that house again. We moved the same day. We left half of our belongings in there, some of the stuff that we managed to take with us. And I remember we moved to a little bungalow in a place called Tubney Wood in Appleton, which is further on up the road. It was never mentioned again. And so I left it at that, because obviously I thought it was a dream or something. But as years go by, I know now that, I'm doing studies and things like that. I know now that it wouldn't have obviously just have been a head and a walking stick. I think maybe the whole body was there, but maybe the light that was being projected from them, there wasn't enough energy there to produce a reflection of the whole body. So obviously the body would have been there. And why was it so drastic? Why we moved in the first place? So obviously, think from then on, things happened where I was experiencing certain different aspects, different things, but there was more visual than audio. And then it got to a degree where other people was actually seeing these things and experiencing them with me at the same time. Artifacts in the house being moved over years, don't matter where I lived, it always seemed to happen. ClubZero, obviously, when that started up, we had, in the early days, we used to have some of the team come around the house where I was living at the time, and we used to do cameras on the stairs, and we'd have a few people. I think PJ's in the chat room there. I think he would remember when he was with us doing that then. I remember the camera moving, something capturing it in the camera. But then I contacted Abingdon Town Clerk some years after, and I explained to them what had happened. And I said, it's just, has anybody ever had any experiences? Because I'd love to go to that building now. I really would love to go to that building. And they were kind enough to get back to me, and they said, well, thanks for the story that you've told us in your report, but there has been no reports of any paranormal activity. What we can tell you is that in 1987, the Regal Picture House, it was demolished, it was taken down, and they did an excavation underneath there and found that it was built on top of a very old cemetery. So I don't have any answers. That's all the answers I've got for that. All I know is the memory from that is as fresh in my mind today as what it was when I was 9, and I'm nearly 47 now. So you're talking nearly, 38 years ago, something like that, 38 years ago. And it's vivid. So I've carried that with me, and I think in a good way, it's a terrifying ordeal, but it's never caused me any harm.
No.
Even though it's scary.
Yeah.
And I think in a good way, it's sort of helped me sort of, look at things, and it's made me sort of learn how to identify and look into it further. And I suppose it all, for everybody, there's something that either pushes you to pursue something. And since doing what we're doing now, for in the club and doing investigations, the amount of experiences that I have personally at home have, consequently diminished. Up till that point, before that, it was all the time. All the time. I've had people in the house when they woke up and there's been banging on the walls and all around the walls. I've had somebody in the house when a mobile phone, and they witnessed it. A mobile phone stood up on its end, locked its keypad, and went back down again. So, someone's seen that, which was an old Nokia. Artifacts, Christmas presents thrown around the room, a CD. There's different things. Coats that are hung up on the back of a door start to sway. I remember having a dream once, and this could have been still part of a dream. I could have still been hallucinating from a dream or something. But I remember having a dream, and I was dressed in like 1920s attire, like tuxedo. I had a white silk scarf, and I was inside this old building which had it was just floorboards, no caps, nothing. And I remember something chasing me, which I never saw what it was, and there was something chasing me, and I was running through these corridors, and eventually I got to these big double doors, and I opened these double doors, and there was a big four-post, a bed in there, just floorboards, nothing on it, and I got onto the bed. Well, shut the doors, got the silk scarf, wrapped the silk scarf around the door handle, sat on the bed, and quaked in fear, on this bed. You're like, oh, what the hell? It's unseen, like the old black and white films, it's unseen. And something, whatever was chasing me, came to the doors and was rattling the doors, like, and the scarf started to wobble. And I woke up then from my slumber, and I woke up, and I had a scarf actually in the bedroom hanging over the built-in wardrobe that was in the house at the time. And as I woke up, I glanced over to see the scarf hanging coming to a stop. So like the scarf in the dream was waggling about, and that was coming. Now, was that really doing that, or was it just continuation in my mind from the dream? Either way, there's some strange occurrences.
The other question is that it's supposed that when we were asleep, you can actually astral travel. So was you actually the reason that you remember it so vividly? Could it be that you was actually doing a
definitely. Or telekinesis. Are you responsible for making that happen yourself? In different ways. There's so many aspects. I mean, the first thing people will think of is it's paranormal, it's ghosts. But I mean, I suppose even telekinesis, astral travel, will be warranted as some form of paranormal, because paranormal just isn't just about ghosts. It's just things that we technically don't understand until we understand it, isn't it? It's above normal. And I suppose when you've been astral projecting, or if you've got telekinesis, to the average Joe out there, it's not a normal thing to do. So it would be above normal there. So it's interesting. There's that many things. But when other people as well are starting to encounter it, would you?
MPS just said you may have been remembering a past life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I just smacked my face in there with a microphone there. So I don't want to be eating the microphone.
He got all excited then.
Andy 7 said, that's amazing. He said it's a bit like his first experience at a similar age. I'd like you to call in and tell us about it, Andy, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
We want people to also ring up tonight and tell us about their own experiences and what maybe got them into doing investigating. It'd be great to hear from you. 0844 414 3982, and don't forget we also got the Skype as well, KTPF.Paranormal Show. So we're talking, you're about 36, 37, 35, 36, 37. What made you decide to join a paranormal group, or did you actually start it?
I think I was 34.
If he's 37, I hate him.
I'm not. I wish I was 37. 10 years ago I might have been, but not so much now. It's just not my fault. I look good. The first one that was sort of formed was a group called Stockport Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
I think I was about 34 then, actually. And it was myself and another person. Obviously, I'm going to refrain from naming at the moment. We sort of got involved because I was having experiences myself, and this other person was having experiences themselves as well of a nature. And we used to do our own kind of investigations on a private level, and we're getting talking about it. And I didn't really realise that he had actually been having experiences, to that degree. And I don't think he realised that I was having experiences, but other people was involved with these experiences. So we kind of sat there and we thought, well, wouldn't it be good? I mean, I suppose back in them days, there wasn't that much in the way of paranormal groups around. You did have some, but there wasn't like as tenfold as what they are now in this day and age. So, and there was certainly none in Stockport at that given time. So we kind of got together and we thought, well, maybe, answers, the only way of getting answers to what's going on is maybe to share this with people that may be having experiences themselves. Let's see if they've got any experiences that we can sort of reflect on that remind us of our own, and they may be able to help us with answers, and vice versa by talking about it.
Yeah.
So we did, and I remember going to the press in Stockport, and Stockport Ghost Hunters was formed. It was a lot of work to do that, but then and it was all right. That went quite well for a bit, and then I remember we went to Martin was with us. Martin Cooper is in the ClubZero 2 there, who's in the chat room.
Yeah.
he was with us. And I think the last investigation I did with them was March, and it was at Derby Jail.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, to me, it wasn't being run correctly. I don't think the people involved, the members, wasn't being looked after in the right way. One half of the organisation was doing it for the complete opposite of what it was designed for.
Yeah.
So I disagreed with it, and with that, I sort of said, that's it, there's no answers being given. People aren't receiving the correct information.
Yeah.
It's just a farce, really. So I was off. So that's it. That was my last investigation. That's actually where I met PJ as well, shortly after that. PJ, Paul Jackson.
Paul Jackson.
I think he's in the chat room there as well. Yeah. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
And I remember I got a phone call. ClubZero start. I remember sitting at home and I thought about this, and I thought it's got to carry on, but it's got to be done in the right way. So I thought about it, and ClubZero was kind of formed in that respect. Then I got a phone call from the meeting venue where the Ghost Hunters was. Even though the Ghost Hunters had been shut down, nobody was told about it. So the person running it hadn't told the members, and I had to go down in the ClubZero uniform to sort of let the people know that, hey, I'm sorry that this isn't going anymore, and the other guy should have been down to tell you this. Yeah. That's where I met PJ then, and a few people then came over with ClubZero, and it then was 2003. And it's had its highs, and obviously in them days it became a success, and then you had the BBC and the TV in its days that, kind of followed stories when we was doing Oldham Coliseum and things like that. And because I think in them days, we were fortunate. I do speak with PJ on many occasions, and we do reflect about old times, and we were fortunate because we managed to do things probably that a lot of organisations wouldn't be able to do today, because times have changed, venues have changed, people's insights and expectations have changed, So it reached a high. I remember we used to go to Mays Archer with a 50-seat coach, and we'd fill it, there'd be full of people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, times change. It's just not like that anymore. So, I don't think just for us. I think for every group, I think it's all dwindles down because they're popping up all over the place, aren't they?
Yeah.
Groups and.
I think it's slowed down a bit now, but at one point, groups and mediums, you get a new one every week. At one point,
they're popping up. A lot of TV. I think a lot of groups actually form from the experience that I've seen in the last 11 years. You have members of people that come along in the group, and some people come in as newbies. They don't know anything, and you try your best to try and develop them into learning something. They then go off, or they change. They meet other people. They go off, and then the next thing you know, they're forming their own group or whatever. Or you've had team members that leave, or whatever the case is. They form their own, and then it goes from there. And then someone leaves that, and then it multiplies. It just does that, and then
it's like a family tree, really.
It is. Yeah. If
Granddad.
Because I remember you guys. Because one of our ex-team members went off and set up an organisation. I think you guys were part of it. Yeah. And then you guys went your way and set yours up.
Yeah, when they disbanded.
Yeah, but I think that they actually continue to do things, but in a different way now.
They came back and decided to do something different.
And PJ himself there, he's still very much, high there on the paranormal aspect. I think he's got a new organisation called Corvus Paranormal. He's out there.
That's a weird name. I wonder where he got that from.
It's an interesting name.
It's Latin
it's
for raven.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
So, but he was there in the day when we had these, and he's still going. And I think in this day and age as well, like you guys, you've been going for some while as well yourself. Yeah. You do very, very, very well. And you get these people
we do our best.
You do, and you do a damn good job of it, But being there and being in the, continuing to do it, because you have your highs, obviously the more of talking tonight, the highs and the lows, because you have the times when you're really excited, things are going really, really well, things are doing great how they're supposed to be, and then you've got your lows where things seem like, is this worth it, what's going on, you've got too much red tape, too much politics, people run it to the ground, and I think the test of time is by just continuing to do things, and you're still there, and, and I think that sort of proves within itself. But
I think there's not many of the old groups left.
There's not many. There is a few that
they've slowly disappeared on us.
Yeah, they have been disappearing bit by bit. I have had contacts. There is a few people have contacted me lately from other organisations, and I thought, wow, I forgot all about you guys, and you're still there, and you remember me, and they've contacted me, and that's been nice. It's been nice to see some of the old groups out there who because I'm a believer. I mean, you've got people now who use all the new technology, which is all good. I mean, there's no harm in trying new technology, and obviously because insights and environmental conditions change as we go along. But I'm one of them people that I sort of value the older ways of doing things.
Old school.
Yeah, I like the old school ways of doing things. But
Pete just said it was the old Stockport Paranormal Society in the 70s.
Yeah, there was Stockport Paranormal Society in the 70s. There was indeed. PJ's been involved with the paranormal for years. So his name's well known out there in the community.
And Martin said he's here 10 years on, and you're his master. I'm assuming that's who he meant. But little pipsqueak in the corner here.
She'll be keeping very quiet over
Emma, what got you into all this?
Well, I can't actually pinpoint any one time that I thought, I want to get into paranormal and ghosts.
Yeah.
Ever since I can remember, I've been interested in it. When I was a kid, I'd get my mum and dad to buy me books. I remember being very little and watching Strange But True, and I was like, every Friday night I was obsessed.
Yeah.
And it's just gone on from there. And then for a turn of events, Jo Alton, who's on the forum there, we were working. She was doing a project at a college course. It was a film course, and I'd done a film degree, and I was helping out on her project. And we were doing basically a pilot show for a paranormal program.
Yeah,
I think I was at the ClubZero meeting when you
were you?
So, yeah.
And so Jo got in contact with ClubZero. I'd never heard of them before, but I wasn't really on the scene in terms of that. I'd never really heard of groups. I'd watched Most Haunted. I'd devoured books and all that, but I didn't know anything about groups you could go to. So we got involved with ClubZero, made the pilot show, and we just never went away. We came to meetings and investigations, and now both of us are on the team. Yeah. So it's just one of those. It's just a natural evolution. But yeah, it's just something that's always been in my life. I've always been interested in it, and I don't know why. And to be honest, I've never had an experience to speak of, not like Chris has just described. I suppose what drives me is that I want to have that experience.
Yeah.
Well, Chris is looking for answers because he's had various experiences. I've not had I've had a few strange things, waking up in the middle of the night and having someone whisper in my ear, and strange noises, mainly EVP I get, but I'm just wanting to experience something as big as what Chris has experienced. That's what drives me.
Was it Ghostly Truths?
The show we were making.
Ghostly Truths.
I think it was. Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, I think you can actually still see that. It's on our YouTube. I'm sure it's on our YouTube. Yeah. I remember actually years back, before you went to your initial group. I remember speaking to you on the phone.
Yeah.
Some years back.
Yeah, what it was, when we started, we'd been watching Most Haunted and all this, that and the other, and I actually rang up Yvette Fielding's over at Holsworth Mill, wasn't it? Yeah, Antiques Production. Yeah. And they told us to contact you. They said get hold of ClubZero. And because Steve's mum lived in Cavendish Mill, and she said to us one day, you watch that programme with all them old things in. And she'd have the kids over at the weekend. She thought, well, she'll put a CCTV camera up and keep an eye on them, if they're getting out of bed and stuff. And she was getting these orbs. And basically, I'd rung them up. They referred me to you. And you referred me to Paul Prohl. Yeah, and basically, he came along, set up all his cameras. And before he hit the record, this orb come up and went flip, flip, and then went, and it was the best thing all day, all night, because he'd done a blanket test, and that's when we found out about his meetings, and now we've managed to be part of them.
I remember having a meeting with Carl Beattie some years back, and I was having a meeting with him at Antics regards doing a television show, because there was Most Haunted was still at its height there, and he was doing this other television show. Or about to, and they called me in for a meeting to participate on it, which it never came off anyway. But I remember him actually saying to me, he says, when we get phone calls from people asking about the paranormal, we always put them over to you. And I didn't realise, I thought, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you're just saying that, and I thought, yeah, okay, until you said, and I thought, okay, well maybe there's a bit of element there going,
Well, you never know. So.
And we've been friends since.
Yeah. So the thing, that's why I call you Grandad.
I know, love
it was ClubZero, Paul Kroll was at ClubZero.
Yeah.
He then went into Tameside. He disbanded, and we became UK Shadow Seekers.
That's right.
So technically, you're my granddad.
Well, I suppose many of us.
And then Paul came back.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of groups linked, together. You know, I suppose. Like, I mean, we still have a lot. You know, ourselves and Paul Jackson have a lot to do with each other.
At the end of the day, there's when it comes to things like this, the low side of the paranormal game is the animosity, isn't it? Really,
yeah. I mean,
you know,
we've seen that over the years.
Yeah.
A massive shit.
But aside that, the low parts is like, as we were saying before we started, last year we struggled, you know, as a team, didn't we? And
well, the team was fine. It was we were struggling filling the invest.
Yeah, because
we just about made it.
We did. We done it, by, you know, broke even sort of thing.
We wiped
you know,
our feet.
Wiped our feet. That's
I mean, we have investigations online, but we don't get a massive amount of takers for that these days.
I always thought basically that it was dying, a bit like karaoke. It came and went, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, and I was wondering whether that was the problem. You know what I mean? But there's still people out there. Like, we don't do our meetings anymore. You know, once we didn't stop doing them, people wanted them.
Yeah.
You know, and when we started them again, nobody was turning up. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's location.
Exactly true. Yeah, exactly right. We stopped ours a year ago. We had a 10th year a year ago, and then, funnily enough, March next March coming up, we're restarting them again in an old venue that we used to have, the Lady Bridge, Cheadle. and obviously, I mean, sometimes we knew when we did them last time. Sometimes, you know, probably like yourselves and other groups out there, that at first or the first few meetings, sometimes we might get inundated with people. We might get a lot of people. And then it starts to dwindle down.
Yeah.
Because I think there's that many that they can go to. But then again, a lot of groups have ceased to do meetings.
But it's hard work, though,
it's very, very hard work.
It's not just a case of turning up and saying hi, you, bye you, and all that lot, isn't it? You've got to sort out to make them entertained. Yeah. You know what I mean?
There's an expectation of you this time.
Yeah.
I mean, the meetings that we're going to be doing this time are not going to be like the ones that we did previous. I mean, previously we used to put lavish buffets on and all this type of the other. And I think that used to take over from the point that we was trying to make about the paranormal and things like that. And even, although it was nice, it's nice to see people, you know, we want to do more, where these meetings are going to be more based on sort of similar doing the quizzes, maybe having guest speakers and maybe guest medium or things like that, but more PowerPoint presentations of, you know, and where topics that we're talking about are going over, not just to be talking. So we're going to be losing people and they're falling asleep.
Yeah.
Oh, God, is he talking again? More visual, a visual aspect behind. Say while we're talking, there's going to be a visual element, hopefully. Where we can take the topic of conversation and turn it into as a working workshop, so they're learning about it. So when they've gone, well, you know, it was interesting. It's going to be for some people, and it's going to be not going to be for others, you know. But those with the dedicated passion of the paranormal and they want to study a little bit more about it, maybe experience it, you know. But it can't work without the input of the people who turn up, and that's what we need. You know.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Well. This is Samsung Galaxy 8.
Are you on?
Yes, I am. It's coming through. Nice little. We was in at Wigan, looking around Haycourt. We were up in the dark area, and just like that, I had the torch on. Yeah, nice and bright.
Yeah.
I come out the dark area. I turned it off. Came out just like that, and as I always do. I lock it, put the screensaver on, and stuck it in my pocket. What, 5 minutes later?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard the advert on Sky for this Moon Boy thing.
No, you've seen that.
I've seen it.
Oh,
with the silly dancing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the Sky advert for that is playing on my phone in my pocket.
We came down 2 flights of stairs.
And it was locked.
Walked into
I
a
always
room,
lock it because
and all of a sudden, we could hear the time of my life singing. And he said, "It's not me." I said, "Check your phone. It's coming from your pocket."
Yeah, I came up and it was actually playing the video.
It was on. Wow. It was on internet. Right. It was on Sky, and it was showing the trailer.
Yeah, it was actually playing the video for it.
Yeah.
And
strange series of events there.
Was Sky the last thing that you looked at, or was it just
no? He had the torch on.
So somehow it's gone onto the internet, found skywebsite.com, and then played a video.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Wow.
And
In a locked position.
and I never go on Sky on my phone anyway.
No.
Because it's I'm using
Someone
computer.
trying to tell you something on
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
then, is it?
Yeah, but it was playing the silly bloody Moon Boy.
I remember walking around on an investigation years ago, and after a while I walk, when you go into an area that's very quiet, there's nobody there, and it's dead dark, and then you can hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
And I remember walking around, and I thought I was going mad. I thought I can hear these voices, and I'm walking around, and I think there was only me in the room at the time, and I could hear these voices like, hello, hello, hello. What the heck's that? What is that? And I'm thinking, oh, I'm onto something here, paranormal, but nothing. And I thought, hello, 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 and I thought, after a few minutes, I think about 5 minutes, this kept going on, and I thought, and for some reason, I checked my top pocket, and my phone, I had my phone in there. And what it done, even though it was locked, for some reason, it had dialed 999. And on the, because you can still dial that, or you could do, and then on the old phones, while your phone was locked. And it was the emergency operator on the phone there, trying to get my attention, because she could hear me doing whatever I'm doing background, and she's shouting, I've been shouting, hello, you alright, you need an assistance? I went, oh my god, I'm so sorry. She went, you're alright, next time we'll find you. Alright, okay. Phone off. So it's a good idea to turn your phones off when you're out there, I suppose.
Well, while you've been talking, Chris, we've had a few comments that have been made in the chat room. PJ said, I was in Stockport Paranormal Society in the 70s, like Steve said. And Martin said that he's been with you 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Joe says, I've been around with the group since 2009, so a baby in comparison. Yeah. She says, strange but true is what started things for her as well. And she said, good old ghostly truthies. She said, she's had a couple of things strange happen, nothing as detailed as yours. But that's what got me interested in the first place. We'd like to hear about them. And also our documentary is on YouTube. Chris said he's 60% skeptic, 40% believer. And Andy said it was Stockport Ghosts first for me, then our own little group, Martin, myself, and 2 others. MAPD, monitoring all paranormal disturbances. Then he joined ClubZero. PJ said they used to a lot of info. I don't know where that one came in, unless it was when we was talking about something else. And when we were saying about the animosity, I think that was part of that, where he said that no trust with each other, which is what he finds so hard to understand. Martin said, I started with Stockport Ghost Hunters, and then I had my own group, which was mentioned earlier. Then went about 12 months, and then I stopped and started with CZ. Andy reminded me, just said that. Okay. Joe said, we are trying to engage members more, which is something difficult, really, isn't it, to engage the members to do things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You need their input. They need to be.
Yeah.
To be part.
So, well, this is it. PJ said the above comment was about Most Haunted. So, but that's gone off again.
That was paranormal.
No, it's just unsticking. Mine's on its way sometimes. But no, I must admit, getting people to actually do the investigation.
Yeah.
They don't sit. I've always said we're not a follow and watch group. If you're coming on, you've paid your money. Don't sit there and watch us. Do something, get involved. Exactly. But it is hard, isn't it?
It is. I think today it's an expectation. In the early days, it was an expectation, but people wanted to get hands in and learn things.
Yeah.
Now I think there's that many Fright Night experience type of things going on out there.
That's what they want.
Yeah, they
want scaring.
I'm going there to know. I'm going to crap myself. And they expect when you go, like. You're going to pull a ghost, and this is no disrespect to anybody out there, but some people might expect you to pull a ghost out of a hat or make paranormal phenomena happen, and it doesn't happen. And sometimes people don't understand the fact that when they go to a place and they'll say, that's crap. I really didn't enjoy that because I experienced nothing. But because they didn't experience anything, doesn't mean to say that there was nothing actually going on behind the scenes. They just might not have been in tune or ready to be experienced for that time. So, and that's where sometimes I suppose a degree of ignorance can come in because it's a lack of understanding. And if people went to investigations not with an expectation of experiencing anything. They can have an experience within itself without seeing or hearing or feeling anything going on by forming learning and understanding of an acute paranormal. And what the representations, and I think where they start off personally, which is the best thing to start off with, is an understanding of themselves first. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Understanding your own energies is before you can even contemplate anybody else's. It's knowing how things work and how it affects us.
Now, when you
Steve's laughing at me.
I know.
I think he's got wind.
Andy went, don't mention Friday night.
But yeah, PJ's right. The old saying is, it's like fishing. One day fantastic, the next day nothing.
Exactly.
It is. You know what I mean?
They keep putting them trouts back in the sea, but they're not coming back out again.
Precisely.
Someone else is whapping them.
Andy said any invest should be looked at that you most likely won't experience something. Then if you do, it's a bonus. Yeah, that's the way.
Well, I've said before, I think last time I was on here with you guys, and I think I said in my eyes, people have their own perceptions and they have their own views of things, but I kind of think there's like 3 types of investigative people out there, like investigations. And you've got people who they call themselves thrill seekers, who just want to go out there. They don't understand anything. They just want to go in, hope the hell something happens to them. Look at me, I've got an orb on my camera. My hair stood on end, and that's it. Get them in, get them out, and they've gone home and they've gone, I had a right good night last night. I got this orb. I swear to God, I got this orb. Look at there,
People can see faces in them.
You can see anything you want to see in them. If you want to see them, you can see my Baker with the 2 suns in some of these things.
But tell us your description of an orb. When it comes to orbs.
In the early days,
it's a big debate.
It is a big debate because you can't. Fair enough. There was first class as the termed as the first stage of manifestation of the spirit. That's before people understood things to a better degree.
And digital cameras have a lot to blame.
But there's all sorts of media, But I personally would say, obviously, when people look into these things, and you are still getting people, believe me, who have orbs on the pictures and submitting them, and they swear to be blind that it's paranormal, because these, obviously, we all know that everybody's sort of moved on in that range now, but when you still find people that are saying that, it takes you back years, and you think, but it's good in a degree, because you can pass over the information that we've all learned together, and I'd say, 98%, I would say at least 98% can be explainable in rational occurrence situations if it was thought about. Impurities in the air, moisture, skin particles, dust, also, insects, light reflection being one of the biggest one of them, as well. Reflective surfaces, sometimes the kind of paint that you've got on the walls, all these type of things. But then there is a small percentage that aren't quite as easily explainable. No. Some things that go against the grain, some things that go on command and things like that, but they're hard to determine on photographic media, but they're a lot better to determine on video media, because you can actually witness the chain of events. You can analyze, let's say, obviously the molecules themselves are, people will say, I've got this massive orb, it was massive, look at the size of that. That's not because it's any bigger than any other, it's only because it's closer to the to the lens, and it just gives it that perspective.
And on modern cameras, the flash is close to the lens as well these days, so it illuminates.
It's the CMOS,
Do you want to quickly just say goodnight to Martin? He said he'll see you on Friday, whatever's happening.
Yeah, we're at Nottingley Town Hall.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, on Friday, so I've got a motorway drive, and I'm not looking forward to that, but I'm looking forward to going. So Martin, sleep well, and I shall see you Friday.
You coming? I can't.
Why can't you?
I've got to go and pick a dog up in Norwich for the RSPCA.
Bring it with you.
No.
We'll have a canine unit up there. I've got to go to Ian on Friday day and pick up Maria from Ian Village.
When are you taking me to Ian?
When do you want to go? Well, so you tell me when you want to go. I'll take you.
Right, we'll sort that one out.
Well, I'm there Friday to pick up Maria, but I'll take you to Ian.
Okay. Now, as I say, we're talking about the highs and lows of this sort of thing. Have you got a low that you can think of, Emma?
To be honest, no. I've not really had any low. Like Joe said, we've only been with the club since 2009, and I've only been on the team.
What about lately?
For 2 years.
That woman. I've heard it with you when we've been sat in the flat watching the telly, and we've heard that woman humming, and we've heard these things together, and we've gone round checking the house.
Oh, that wouldn't be a low. That'd be.
That's not a low.
That'd be a high.
Yeah.
It could be a low. Yeah, no, a low hum.
Oh no!
It's a low when you can't find where it's coming from. That's where the low comes.
So what is your lows of the paranormal field? What do you feel as though it's been
The lows.
Yeah, because you've had a few, haven't you? Obviously, I know for a fact you've had a few. Look at you was gonna quit, wasn't you?
I just feel like saying sod it all.
There's been times.
Throw it all away.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's ClubZero Paranormal, but at one time it was ClubZero Ghost Group, as people remember it out there. The badge was different, the colour was different, black and yellow.
Yeah.
And I think it was it 2011. From 2003, I think it was 2011, and we closed that group down, and the team that was there at the time said goodbye to the team, and I thought that's it, hanging up the EMF meters type of thing.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to do. I was going to finish it because it wasn't going anywhere.
No.
And I thought it was a lot of work, it was a lot of effort. There was too much trouble, too much red tape over the years. You know, and you've had people trying to put you down, and you've had tickle tackle say this and people say that, and and sometimes you can be successful and people might get envious of you, or maybe, I'm not saying that's the case, but I suppose everybody gets it. And I thought, no, there's too much. There's not a lot coming back from there's not productivity of the club. And it's not actually, it's changed direction to the way it was originally designed. So I thought, well, no, it's not working this way. So I sort of walked away from it. And then some of the members that was involved in ClubZero Ghost Group thought, another one, start it again, and they wanted to continue doing it, and they had a bit more, you could see the hunger in their eyes at that time.
Yeah.
Sort of, and then I had Michaela contact me, who was a member as well at one time, and I thought, yeah, well, I'll give it another try, give it another shot, and and named it Phase 2 because I thought it was the same thing, but just launch it as a Phase 2, and that seemed to do all right. But then we thought, well, the name ClubZero has been going for that long; that's what we was known as. So we brought that back as ClubZero Paranormal. But and again, it's all right, and we were. It's like sometimes you get the early days where things are vamped up, and you can have a new exciting situation or new adventures which sort of rekindle you. And then even now I still get me lows where I sit there and I think,
is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes there's, if you're not getting the response back that you're working hard, and it's a lot of work, and people have to understand, and not just for me but the guys in the team, who do a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of. You can watch a video for 10 minutes that might have took us 5 hours to have created. Or something like that, and obviously you're advertising, putting things out, but when it's unresponsive, and it's difficult to get into venues as well without the backing of the public who want to come in with you, because they charge massive amounts of money. And then when you're emailing and contacting venues to go in and they're not replying back to you to say, well, no, yes, no, or whatever, you think, well, what's going on here?
This is it.
If you're on Facebook and you've got 200 plus members and not really many people really getting involved, and you think, well, we do podcasts, and we do Videopedia series, which obviously gives information to people without them having to research it.
Yeah.
It's just nice, a bit of involvement. It gives you that support, gives you that morale. And if they're interested in the paranormal, then it allows us to do what we designed it to do, and it gets us all out there. But you keep toddling on. I won't be doing this forever.
No.
There will be times when I'll think, well, that's it now. I'm resigning, and whatever team members are in place there, I'll sign it over to them. Yeah. Just say, right, there we go, it's yours.
I can't imagine paranormal investigating in this area. Obviously down south and all that, without Chris Andrews.
Without Chris, you brought a tear to my eye. Well, I mean, obviously, there will be times when I think, well, for me now, I mean, it's a change of direction. There's other things that I do want to get into, like media things and things like that.
But that's the thing about this. We've got to keep trying to make it fresh for all the people that come on.
Of course you have.
And it's hard work.
Like you guys as well.
Andy Cooper just said Chris is club.
No, I can't do it without them. So when people say you're the club, I think I'm not the club. No, without you guys,
they don't realise it.
No, exactly. They're important.
It's the same with me. They say, if it weren't for you, we wouldn't be doing this. No, because if I didn't have them, I couldn't do it.
I think it's the same for. I mean, not just the team that we've got now, but all the team that's ever been involved. I mean, I'll always say that, regardless of if some of these are friends or some of these may be enemies with each other, unfortunately now. But I'll still always say, everybody who's ever been involved, they've all contributed to putting where we are, they've all contributed at some stage to the highs that we had, even the lows that we've had. So without them all, we wouldn't be where we are today now. But,
well, just going back in the chat room, going back to orbs, our good friend in Minnesota, John Savage, he said, "God, not orbs. I would like to find the person who thought of an orb was a ghost and hang them."
That was Martin Cooper.
Yeah, and he's just signed off. And
because he knows,
and basically going back to lows, and he said the misunderstanding caused by, won't mention any names, with MADPD and ClubZero was a low for me. The best thing that happened was Chris PJ bumping into Martin and myself on an investor at a pub.
I remember that well. I do.
And we talked, and the rest is history.
Yeah,
so
it's a good night.
But that's it, isn't it? That's the way it all starts.
And they've still been there since. I mean, obviously they was part of, or Martin certainly was part of the ClubZero Ghost Group, and when he's one of the team members that chose to come along. But I mean, and still there now. But like you say, you got to take different. I mean, as the times change, like you guys, you do different things, and I think that's good because it keeps things interesting as well. It also expands your knowledge of things, because we've got to continue learning, haven't we? And you're learning different techniques, and social media is a massive part of it, even though it seems to fail for us on that level somewhere. I don't know what the crack is there, but
then again, like you said, at the end of the day, and I'm always saying, it's the team, isn't it, really, that makes it?
It seems we've got to hang the Japanese. Andy just said the Japanese first claimed to photograph orbs when photographing the graveyard.
All right, okay.
So it seems the Japanese is a great.
But as I say, it is all about the teamwork, isn't it, really? And you need to be able to trust your team.
It is,
you do.
And you saying that you want to get more into media and stuff, you can do that within the group.
You can do it. I mean, that's why I branched into things like obviously doing. I mean, like your guys are actually doing the KTPF and things like that, and your online community show. I mean, I do. I haven't done in all fairness, I haven't done a podcast since the last one was Paul Rowlands, when we, and then obviously before that was Kieran O'Keefe. So
Paul Rowlands.
Paul Rowlands, yeah.
He's just texted me.
Yeah, because he's
about coming on next week.
He's a lovely guy, Paul. He's a nice
very
guy.
Talented.
Very, very talented.
I'm sure it was him that just texted me.
But his last podcast. So we're overdue doing a podcast. But that's hard work, because we've got to get people in to do that with as well. And then I'm reorganising the meetings again and do video pieces. So we are branching into different directions, which makes it interesting.
He just texted me and said, "Well, I still wanted to come on the show and talk about the technology he built."
Is he listening in?
I don't know if he's listening in.
Yeah, Paul. You'll be blown away by.
Is this the guy you originally told me about the other week?
Yeah. The equipment that he does, that he makes. It's not just for ghost hunting.
Is he from Manchester?
He lives in Chester.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
All right. So it'll probably be Skype then.
Yeah, I mean, on one of our podcasts, you'll see him. You'll see his equipment on there and some of it, But he's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, next week we've got somebody from America on talking about their pictures and stuff and what have you, and then he can come on and talk about that as well.
His brain is phenomenal. What makes him tick and how he does it. I mean, he introduced lasers. I mean, I remember we was on BBC because the news actually turned around and said
name dropping again.
Oh, I'm sorry. CBBS, I meant. CBBS.
Yeah, go on.
We was on the name dropping again. It was the KTPF. That's what it's called now.
All these things, but you have though, and over the space of years that you have been there, haven't you? You've been on the BBC, you've been on Granada, and all this.
We've done it, I mean, we've done live investigations on the TV as well, when because we used to do, which you don't seem to get a lot of now. We used to do live investigations in public, in the pubs and things like that, where we'd involve the general public who was out for a drink, but such a television company would come out and film it. But I remember Paul Rowlands gave us an idea about introducing lasers. Now everybody in this day and age now, they use laser pointing, the laser grid pens, and they fire them out, and you've got the green laser pens.
Yeah.
Nobody was using them. then, and Paul gave us this idea to introduce lasers, and according to that television news channel,
Just
we
say it.
were the first group to introduce the BBC, Russell Losing World Service, introduced the use of lasers in the Northwest, but what they did was turn around and said, a paranormal group in Stockport have developed, equipment that can prove or disprove. And we thought, well, no, that isn't what it's about at all. It wasn't about that. And where people now use the laser grid, and what I'm actually doing, and some of the team are probably listening, is I'm going to reinvent that and bring them back, because we've stopped using them. And then suddenly everybody's using these laser pens, which come from America and all that, is using the laser pens. Now
we have one ourselves.
Yeah, we've got a few, but they're good. But the idea, they're doing it in the opposite manner to what we was doing it. What they're doing now is firing the green laser, which creates the web-like, and so you're looking for movement within, and the shadows that are breaking the beams and things like that. What we did was we had a series of lasers which was mounted on a tripod, and they were fired out. It's much like a pen, but not one laser. It was one concentrated laser with a didgeridoo on the end of it. It was a didgeridoo. Yeah, the little turning knobby that gives you all the thingies.
Was Rolf there to work it for you?
Yeah, he said, "Can you guess what it is yet?" And when he made that noise, oh no, I thought no. But anyway, so he's got that. And when you're firing, you create the laser grid. What we did, we have a series of lasers that were mounted on a tripod, and they'd all be firing slightly off in different directions. And there was the red laser. We would have video cameras then at the opposite end of the room, so you're not looking where the light's shining, where the lasers are hitting the wall. You're looking into the lasers, so you put the camera at the opposite end facing the laser itself, but obviously not looking into the laser beam, because you just burn up the lens. Just offset the beam, and then we'd get the video cameras and we'd zoom in carefully into a concentrated part of the actual beam itself. In the beam we could see all the orbs and your dust molecules moving around, so that would help us learn about the continuation of the flow of the molecules, where the molecules are flowing to what was going on within that concentrated area, so that we knew that if there's any orb or whatever that at that time was to go in the opposite direction, they're going against the majority of the grain. And also you might be able to see if a figure of some form or paranormal entity may have passed through that area. The light emitting might have allowed to show itself to a degree within that beam, rather than looking on the wall and looking for shadows that break the beam. We was looking at light, because light will bend, light reflects, and if there's enough light concentrated in one area, you might be able to just see the bounce back of an outline of whoever. And that was the reason why we did it. And it never proved that paranormal exists or didn't exist, but it was a concept. It's an experiment, scientific, but we're going to bring that back. That's what we're going to do. Start it all over again.
Okay, looks like we've got Ace Paradox that's joined us in the chat room.
That's Mr. Rowland.
Mr. Rowland, I've just sent him an email actually to see whether he's going to be with us via Skype, or whether he'd be prepared to come and sit into the studio with us next week.
Hi, Paul.
So pleased to meet you, Mr. Paul Rowland, and looking forward to speaking to you during the week to sort that one out. Probably tomorrow, if that's okay. In the afternoon, I'll give you a call. So yes, so the highs and lows of your experiences. Where have you? Let's talk about where you've been and really captured something. Have you actually, over the years that you've done, can you actually say that you've caught anything on camera that you can say was actual proof?
It's hard to determine. I mean, because it depends on what people. I mean, to yourself, to the individual, you can sort of say, well, that's proof to me. But to the general population or whoever's viewing it, it might not be accepted as proof. So it's difficult. Obviously, the scenario surrounding the images or the recordings as well play a big factor in it. If you're there doing it, the situation and the chain of events of what you've captured or not, or possibly caught. Where somebody else probably just sees this and think, well, it means nothing to me, or that doesn't prove anything. We've been to venues and we've got images, that we've taken. And there was a video media where actually we was on this investigation. I was talking about this with Paul Jackson not long ago.
Yeah.
Where we had this video camera in what we call a carrot shed. It was a very, very old house. And this house has been knocked down, and we got invited to do this exclusively before it got knocked down. And we see a figure, and the infrared camera, there's a figure sitting on the right-hand side of the screen, stands up, rises up, goes across, which is on our website. You know, it is on our website. It's hard to see, very hard to see, but you do see it. And then the figure, it's like the head and shoulders or something. It rises, goes across, disappears, and then this orb that's actually 2% from the 98, you know, sort of appears there, flickers, and disappears.
Yeah,
you know,
PJ just said the old house is no longer there.
that's right. Yeah, it was knocked down. Yeah, but I mean, he'll remember that, and to us, and we thought, wow, okay, because that area there was no one in it. You know, it was in the middle of nowhere. So we knew there was nobody in there. It was in, you know, middle of nowhere. There's only us and the woman who lived there. But to see what we saw get up and go across, you know, maybe to certain people they'd look at it and think, well, that doesn't really mean anything to us, maybe because it's hard to determine what they're actually looking at, what that actually represents. But because of again, like you said, the situation of events, and we know the circumstances, we thought, right, okay, yeah, you know, that's.
I mean, from our point of view, in the 8 to 10 years we've been doing it, we've got three. Three we got on video at Margam Castle, which was, I suppose it can be debatable, but we were there.
Where was you? Which room was you in? Because I had
It wasn't. It was
we was on the stairs.
On the stairs before we actually
yeah,
started.
we was on the stairs. So we'd set record, but all the lights were still on.
Right, right.
And it looks like a spider web.
Yeah.
And they're just floating down in front of the camera. And
Right.
I went up and checked, and there was no spider web there at all.
You can see this on our website, UK Shadow Seekers.
I'll have a look at that.
Shadowseekers.co.uk.
Obviously, the photograph which you had tried to do something with it
from the Golden Fleece. Remember that shadow?
That was some while ago. That
oh,
wasn't
I know.
It? When I tried to analyse that picture, God, blimey, yeah. Yeah, that dark shadow. That was a really, really interesting picture.
Yeah, we still haven't, you know,
it was really
sure
interesting.
about that.
And of course the
EVP from the same night.
Place.
Yeah.
EVP seems to be a big thing, doesn't it? You know,
and that was
got a lot of
from the Catherine's room, I think it's called, the one with the toilet in, you know, the
right,
ensuite.
yeah.
So, you know.
Well, no, that's all good. I mean, people look at it and they'll make their own decisions of it.
But that's it in 20 years, and it goes back to the thing where everybody wants something every time.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, okay, you can have something every time you want, but we need to prove it.
PJ's wants to jog your memory about the door at the Big Oldham location.
At the what on the location?
At the Big Oldham location.
The big. Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, he wants to remind you about the door.
I'll have to have a think on that one. The door. Let me think. Give me a clue. Give me another clue, PJ.
Another clue.
Another clue.
Well,
was it negative?
While he's giving you the clue.
Did you ever do the Colosseum?
We did do the Colosseum, yeah. We did that on a few occasions.
While he's giving you a clue, Jo sent me in her experiences. Okay. And I'm just going to read them out to you. Right.
Jo Alton.
Jo Alton.
Yeah.
This is what she sent us. She's had 2 experiences that got her interested in the paranormal. Passing Over Dog. Right, that was the title. When my childhood dog of 13 years passed over, we had her buried in the family garden. She had diabetes in her later life, and I looked after her. We lived backing onto a park. On the night that she was buried, I was asleep in bed and woke up as I felt her jump on the bed. Of course, there was nothing there. In the morning, after feeling it, presuming it was just a part of the grieving for my pet, I went to check on her. I discovered that during the night, the local foxes had tried to dig her up. I tidied up the area and refilled the grave. Thought nothing more of it. That night, again, I was awoken up to the feeling that the dog had jumped on my bed. Again, the next morning, I went out to find the dogs had tried to dig her up. This went on for 3 nights. I told my neighbour, who helped me with her, and we placed bricks over her this time. I never had anything again, and her grave was never disturbed again. So who knows? Was she telling me that she was being disturbed?
Yeah,
Possibly.
that's certainly interesting. Animals are certainly loyal to their owners,
Oh
aren't
yes,
they?
definitely.
I actually like that.
Yeah,
It is a nice
I like
one.
that
one.
It's a very nice one, that.
not if she's been dug up, obviously, but the fact that she was trying to jump on her.
It's a nice thought to keep with you, isn't it?
Yeah, dream. This is the second one. When I was about 9 or 10 years old, I was staying at my grand's house. I had a dream that I was not in my usual room. I was sleeping in my grand's room in front of the door. In the dream, I woke up as there were men walking up the stairs and walking into what I knew as my auntie's room. One of them turned to look at me and said, "We are going to kill you." I pulled my hair over my face, terrified. In the morning, I told my gran about my dream and she went white. It turns out, I found out years later, that my auntie had that experience when she was younger, back when my mum lived there. Apparently, my mum was using the Ouija board to try and contact her nan. My gran is very religious and has always told me that ghosts were the devils trying to trick us. So naturally, as a child, I was afraid. But it did leave me with questions. When we looked into the history of her area, it was where the old Masons lived. So I guess that is what originally got me interested.
It's like dreaming of a dream of somebody else's memories.
Yeah.
To a point, isn't it?
You know.
And PJ said butterflies corridor.
I've just looked and it says
butterflies.
Yes, that's got to be for me one of the best venues ever. One of the best venues, and I feel sorry for some of the team we've got now who've never experienced it, probably never will anymore. But I remember. Yeah, we was at I think it was the disused area. It's like a great big. I don't know if you guys ever went in there. It's like the disused area. It was all changing rooms, dressing rooms. I mean, you've got the nightclub, the Butterflies nightclub, and then you used to go into the pool hall itself, and you'd have to go through that into a disused area, and it was like a big dressing room set area.
Yeah.
And the old kitchens and that back there.
It was, excuse me. And we remember this door to get a frog in the throat. Opening. It's all gone. Opening and closing there, you know, and I'm going to have a swig. Yeah, I will, thanks.
That way then.
Thank you very much.
I
think we legged it, you know, we're only people.
The one thing I do remember from Butterflies is actually the tunnels area, you know, the underground and what have you, you know, the actual cellars bit. There was really narrow areas.
I don't think I remember.
I think there was a hole in the ground, wouldn't it? Where you could see the underground stream underneath.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm not sure if I remember that.
Did you not go into that bit?
We've been all over Butterflies.
There was
everywhere.
Corridors.
It was down where all the boilers and that.
Yeah,
were,
where all the boilers and that.
Oh
were.
God, yeah. You go, that's in the disused area where all the and you go down. Yeah, you can see the river. Yeah, I remember that. I have been there.
It was fantastic.
Do you know?
Great place.
I don't know if it ever happened to you, but I remember we was in there, Butterflies, and you got two bars in there, hadn't you? You had a small one at the back, and then you had a long one down the side. And there was, you know, Paul Pro when he was with us, and he had his laptop, and he said, "I need to find somewhere I can plug this in," you know.
Yeah.
So he plugged, you know, and he said, next thing we know, all the optics lit up, all the bar lit up, and he went, great stuff, and he plugged it in, and he got the power, and I said, great. So I radioed the manager, I think it was Daniel at the time. I radioed him upstairs, and I said, thanks for that, and he went, well, I haven't done anything, there's no power to that bar. You know, well, we have, and then boom, power went again, but all the optics everything was lit up, and I thought, you know, so yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, we was there with Paul, and we had a lot of dark shadows in the dance room there.
It's absolutely fantastic place.
And that smell we were getting in the gents' toilet.
I'd probably just been in there before.
No, it was a weird smell.
It wasn't the smell you.
Like I said, I'd been in there before.
It wasn't what you would expect to find.
No,
toilet.
You know, it was really weird.
I think the women went in the ladies' toilets or sometime when we went, and they came running out and said, there's some motion going on in there," but there was actually being proper, you know, in the pot. They've been there for all them years. Do you know, it used to be called Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, we talking about the ladies' toilets. Well, we had some of the ladies go in there, and one of the toilet doors actually slammed shut while they was in there, and the blower went on.
Yeah.
which weren't even connected.
Really?
It was off.
Well, that's
didn't
it.
work.
If yours wasn't connected, it went on, and that bar went on. Obviously, there was something going on where there was power going on. But we had people being possessed by things, being taken over. We had somebody being ill straight away. We used to do call-outs in the toilets, and we'd have the motion sensors, EMF meters, and then people start going ballistic in there.
Yeah.
You know, and then talk. I remember one of them talking about someone being stabbed there. Obviously, it was a nightclub.
Yeah.
And whatnot. But,
Last thing we heard about that, it was being turned into flats, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember. Do you remember the back stairs?
Yeah.
It's still
going
there,
up to the emergency exit. That was very active on that.
Yeah.
You got stone steps, and we were, apart from stuff happening right at the top by the door, not noises because it was different stuff. Because obviously you'd probably be outside, but halfway down, about 2 foot from the step, we were getting EMF. There was nothing above it.
No.
There was nothing below it.
No.
It was floating 2 foot up from the steps.
Right. I can relate to that.
That's a bit,
I don't know about the
bit
steps.
weird.
We had something similar in the actual, not the dance floor, but near the back area where I remember people going around, just like you just said then, Steve. People were going around with the EMF meter. I don't know, members at the time, and I remember them saying that they found it was like an EMF pocket that was raised off the floor, like you just said. It wasn't on the steps though. Obviously, that must have been another area, but this is actually in the nightclub itself, and it was there. But it's occurrences that's hard to explain, but it is still there. As far as I'm aware, because you had the blue door at the side, it was Riley's pool hall, wasn't it, at the time? That last time I spoke to them, it was a kebab house.
Right.
And I said, "Can I come in for an investigation?" They went, "No, but you can have chili sauce."
The other place we liked, talking about Riley's, was Birkenhead.
Yes,
that was
we've done
good.
that as well.
Yeah.
Snooker Hall, Birkenhead.
Yeah.
That was in the newspapers. That.
You know, and
last time we went
that
there
was
was a
Paul's
bit awkward.
and Kate's.
Kate's, yeah,
they sorted
we
that
went
out.
up there and
they had new people in.
they had new
last time we
people
went.
in, and apparently somebody's rented the top, which was the best place, for a gym.
And they've put a false wall in without even asking.
Yeah.
They built a wall.
Did you see the cinema part? Did you go in the pit?
Yeah.
When I went, the
Yeah.
massive and think, ooh.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that came out of your mouth was, ooh.
But we ended up going a different place,
that was
didn't
above
we?
the pool hall, wasn't it?
We ended up going a different place, didn't we? Through the snooker rooms.
Yeah, we went through
all
the
way
snooker
round
room
the back.
and
We'd never been
through
up
the
that
door
way
at the bottom up to the old pieces that
Yeah.
been used.
So
that was quite good.
was good. But Joe, I've just read your stories out, and if it's all right with you, I'll put them into the forum. Or you can do them yourself.
Yes, I said on here that the X-Files used a piece of film from the place of a man walking down that corridor, which means that.
Thank you.
Our John's going to be very jealous.
Oh,
There was a video.
Because he's a big X-Files fan,
yeah.
and we were actually in the place where they filmed that bit.
Do you remember? Have you ever seen the video from that place? The CCTV footage.
No, I haven't. Not yours.
No, it wasn't ours. It was theirs from Butterflies. They had. There used to be it was like a theatre or something. It used to be a theatre or something.
Yeah.
And what they had, the police was called out. If I remember the story, I think
Yeah.
the police was called out about 5 o'clock in the morning, 4
Yeah.
or 5 o'clock in the morning, to an alarm activation that was going on, there. So when the police got there, there was no signs of any intrusions or in or out. There was no signs of anything. And then obviously what they did then, they looked at the footage, the recorded footage, and they showed it. This is from memory. They showed the CCTV footage showed this guy walking down the corridor, and he had a white shirt on with his sleeves rolled up and slacks, and he'd walked down the corridor, and then he'd stopped at this door, which was like an admin office or something down the corridor, and just disappeared, just walked through the door, and there shouldn't have been nobody there. And as far as I'm aware, this guy who was on there had been killed in some accident there, where I think something had fell on him. PJ will probably correct me on this on the chat room, but I think something had fallen on him or something on a theatre or somewhere. But at that time, at 5 o'clock in the morning, police activation, and that was interesting. And we've seen that, and I think he's right. I think the X-Files did use that video or something very similar.
PJ said that was correct.
Thank you very much, PJ. Hey, not bad memory from City, I tell you. Full of useless information, my head.
Oh dear.
That's a good one. That's the first time I've actually had to mention that.
This is all before your time, Emma.
It is, but I want to go.
No, unfortunately, they won't let us back in.
No, it's still there, but
The last time we did it, it was weird.
I think Butterflies, we were the last ones in, weren't we? With Paul.
Yeah, no, but that one over at Birkenhead, the last time we did it, they let us do it as a team. And then a friend of theirs wanted to do a practice night singing. At 2 o'clock they finished.
Yeah, we got there and he went, it's all right, they finished about 11:30.
Yeah.
2 o'clock they were still jamming.
Yeah.
It's like,
nightmare, isn't it?
So, this is the thing.
Did you ever go to you probably would have gone.
I didn't go to Maze
Archo. I think it was the paranormal hotspot of the, everywhere. Everybody went there. Everybody, and those who missed it, missed out, and that'll never be back again.
Yeah, we never managed to get to Maze Archo.
The morgue, the hangars. Most Haunted did their live there.
Did you get a picture of a plane with it? Looked like the pilot was still in it.
There's a Spitfire, but the thing is, the Spitfire outside the hangar isn't an original Spitfire. It was a prop.
Oh, it's a repo.
Yeah, that was there, but there's no one sat in it.
No.
And I took a photograph, and when we developed the picture, I printed it out, and in the photograph you could see the Spitfire in the cockpit, and it was in the night, so it was dark, so it wasn't the best of pictures, but you could see this pilot sat in the Spitfire with the hat and the goggles at the top, and and I remember what the hell. And when Yvette Fielding was on the stage and we spoke to, because we went to the rap party behind the stage, at the end, and had a drink and a dance with them and all that. And I gave her this picture, and I went, "What do you think of that?" She went, "Oh my God!" And I don't think I've actually got. I must have it on disc somewhere, but you can see it's like Ruffles or something, chopped to Asians, little. And you can see.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's hard to see
really
properly,
good.
but you can make out the features. And I thought, well, and I told Malcolm, who was he was running Maze Archer at the time, and I showed him that, and he said, "Well, I don't see how that could be. That's impossible because it's not an original Spitfire, And I thought, hey, well, there you go.
PJ just said it was made for the film The Battle of Britain.
Well, there you go. Yeah, because Americans was there as well, weren't they? I mean, they used it as an air base and all that. But yeah, PJ, you saw that picture, I think, didn't you, with the pilot in there, But honestly, it's.
But you also did Craig and Us as well.
Craig and Us. Yeah, that was a journey and a half getting there. The Black Rock, Craig and Us. That was good. I'd never been there before, and we got a really good. It was a good time of it, really, because we managed to do the whole investigation, and then the following day I felt sorry for the bus driver who took us down, because we had all these classes to go to, past life regression, giving up smoking and whatever, and we was there till I think 5 o'clock the next day, tea time, and the bus driver was like, my wife's going to kill me. So we had a whip round for him and give him all the £2 on the way back. But that was interesting, I mean, we did different experiments there and things like that. Again, I don't think I didn't see anything to a degree.
I've got to ask you this, because Andy Cooper keeps saying, "Do you remember the cows?" Tell me about these cows.
Yeah,
the
PJ
cows.
remembers them apparently.
Yeah, that's.
I think I know this story.
I think it was PJ that was involved with it. I think it's somebody was talking about there was some demons or evil entities out there or something. And beyond. I think it was out in the woods or something. There's these demons. Don't go further. The demons there. And PJ, I think it was PJ who said, "No, they're not. No, it's not. I'm telling you, it's not. No, I'm telling you, it is. It's not.
You can see red eyes in the dark.
You can see these eyes and whatnot. And don't go any further because you're all going to be in lumber. It's demons." And he said, "It's not. I'm telling you, it's not." And he turned his light on, and it was a bunch of cows there, chewing the cud, as it were. I think that's right.
I don't know.
But yeah, good time. The morgue, and
Fred was the driver.
Fred, that's it.
Fred was the driver, and getting back at 11:30 p.m.
Yeah. Oh, he went ballistic. I remember there was a medium with us, and she wasn't part of our team. She was just there. She came on as a paying member, and we went into this hangar, and we're walking around. It had a drone aircraft in there, which obviously unmanned. And we're walking around. She says, "No, it's all right. I know what's happening. I know the situation, what's going on." And smack, and walked into the wing of the aircraft and smacked her in the mouth. And I thought, you didn't see that coming, did you? But it was interesting. You know, it was good. And the morgue, everybody wanted to go to that morgue.
Yeah.
And everybody just kept coming up with Germans, you know, in the morgue. And I must admit, I mean, it was like darker than dark in there.
Yeah.
It's just gone. It's gone forever, that place. Brilliant place.
I want to ask you now.
Yes.
Where do you see? We're going to wrap this up in a bit, but where do you see paranormal investigations going? Or what would you like to see?
It's going to go. I think it's going to go in different ways. I think there's going to be a bit. You know, there's going to be those who soldier on and keep going, and there's going to be those who don't. They're going to be going on, and then. But I think the ones that are going on and just doing it, and like last time we was on and was talking about Paracon. And groups that do things and haven't got much of an educated idea of what to do. I think, you know, it's people like that as well are actually helping to maybe destroy the paranormal community to a degree, because when people are going on their investigations and they don't really conduct proper. I mean, I think paranormal investigations are changing. They're not conducted in the way, maybe by a lot of groups, the way a proper researcher would gather all the correct data. They're doing it for the scare factor, and then people will go to that, and then when they come onto something like yours, maybe, and they think, oh no, that's not how it's done. Oh no. If they don't get a bit of a fear, if they don't get a scare factor, they think, oh, that was crap.
This is it.
You know, and you think, well, no, it's not about that. You're not here. You're here to experience as much as you can, but it's not about seeing or feeling. If you do, you're lucky. You know, but you're lucky. But you're here to learn and understand. And maybe encounter, but the experience of being here and encountering how to go about doing this, how to look at things, you're being educated how to uncover. It's not shoot, point and hope that there's I've got something on, and really it's one of my follies. What really annoys me, it really winds me up, you know, when I see groups doing that, and then people expect, and you take members on investigations and stuff like that, you know, and I think, that's not what you're here for. You're lucky if you get it, it's a bonus. The idea is to learn how to investigate using scientific methods or even psychic methods to a degree. But so it's a different dilemma. I think I think, to be truthful, that's taking over the show to a degree, and it's killing groups. You know, and I think it's killing. So in a few years' time, I think paranormal investigating, if it's not something that's done about it, could be a farce to a degree, where to the groups that have been going for years, who know what they're doing, and they'll carry on soldiering on, but they're going to be pushed into the background because people aren't going to be into that type, because all they've ever known is how to just point, shoot, and scream.
I think personally, a lot of the paranormal investigation groups who are investigators, they'll probably turn away from the venues and the paid ones and concentrate on, just closed group, private homes.
Yeah.
And then you'll get the Fright Nights, the entertainment events people.
Yeah.
They'll just stick with the venues, the well-known places, and it'll just split into two.
Yeah.
I think that's how it'll happen. Because
we'll
get outpriced. We'll be outpriced.
Then, going back to what you were saying, Chris, with all the experience you've had in doing the investigations the right way, working with the tech and different stuff that's coming in, why don't you start to put that right? Well, why don't you start teaching?
When you say, I mean, it's a hard dilemma, because when we say doing it in the correct way, I mean, that's the correct way for us, and the other groups do it their way, which is the correct way for them, I suppose. So every group...
I mean, we all do what feels right, but the biggest problem is that a lot of the groups that start up don't have the basics.
They don't have the basics. We tried to do that.
And that needs to be taught.
It's like what PJ said. He so agrees with what you were saying about how many people go on one or two invests and then try and set up a group. It's not right.
But they suddenly know everything.
Yeah.
And now some of these people, and I know a lot of these people out there, but some of these people can be really, really nice, genuine people, and it's not to discredit their nature, or maybe not to discredit their personality, but there is some people out there who just do it for a power of glory. They don't know anything about these things. The problem that arises is they go to, you get a group that's been, I've been on an investigation, I'm going to start my own group, so they go off and do it. They acquire a venue that groups have been trying to get this venue for years and got nowhere, and then suddenly they sit there and they think, you know what, why not? Everybody else is doing it. Why not? We'll open our doors. This group goes in, and everyone's been after it, and this group goes in. They're absolutely diabolical, with no respect, or whatever the case is. They say, you know what, you was the first and you're the last.
Precisely.
You're gone. And then you got people thinking, whoa, it's not like that.
Yeah.
But they won't. And, we went to an investigation years ago, and PJ again was with us, and it was a place, it was in Chester called Dwyer. It was Dwyer Roman Museum. And again, we were probably the first ones in there. No one had ever been. We've been and done it. We arranged to go back. In between then, they had another group who I knew went in there. When we contacted them to say, can we come back and do another one, they said, under no circumstances is any group coming back in here, because the last group that went in did something that much. There was all sorts of things going on, items going missing, there was all sorts. And the thing is, that's the problem. And, getting in is hard enough these days, getting investigations. But
well, we was talking about a certain venue recently that I went to, and they mentioned your group and a couple of others.
Yeah.
I did actually say to them, to be honest with you, because you're opening your doors to other groups, if anything is to go wrong, please don't tar everyone with the same brush.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is, because I said, just because you may have one bad group come in doesn't mean to say the rest aren't,
That's
so you need to, because they're new to it anyway.
The experience speaks for itself.
I think last year we lost 3 good venues.
3 good venues
last year because of inexperienced people going in and
that's it.
doing stuff they shouldn't be doing.
The problem is, the thing is, it's at the moment in time, it's all right. We've got these ideas about it, but it's virtually unstoppable.
Yeah, it's like the 3 venues last year. One of them stopped altogether because of damage. One decided to stop, and then decided to just have one group in. And it was theirs exclusively. I don't know about the other one. I think they stopped altogether, but it is killing it for everyone.
It is killing it,
and it's like Andy said, most haunted sport things, as far as paranormal, in their latest series. But Joe said they certainly did. However, they also put it in the public eye, which I believe
they did,
which helped to boost the paranormal community a few years ago.
But in the beginning, that was good, because in the beginning they were trying.
Precisely.
Everybody's had a dabble.
Unfortunately, because it's TV, you can't work that way. You have to change the way you do things.
Become a victim of your own success in some ways.
If any of us was doing a television series, any paranormal group was doing we'd still always be at the, oh god, they're crap. Yeah. We'd be treated like most haunted. Most haunted, of course you do silly things, and I know where things, with speaking to them, I know that they've done things that aren't quite as they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they did sort of put the door stopper in that door and left it open, and that's and no matter what people think about it, they did pave that way.
They did
to a degree.
Yeah.
Where,
and it's caused a discussion between the two.
Yeah, I agree with Andy. In the first series, it was real.
Yeah,
what they were trying to do was real.
Joe said most haunters certainly did. As I said, they brought it into the public eye, helped the community for a few years ago. She also followed on by saying, like most TV programs, it's hard to keep ratings up, and they tried things in order to keep the show afloat. Of course, in my opinion, they did some unethical things to do that. Andy said their later series, never an episode went by without some paranormal activity going on. This just isn't the case, as we all know. And Joe said, but they always did that really. It's just got more spectacular, which it did do. It lost its credibility, really, because not because of anything that they were doing wrong, but because I think people just got bored with it. You know what I mean?
On top of that, like PJ said, they never give the groups where they got the information any credit.
No.
To me, it would have been better if they'd explained that all this didn't happen in an hour.
Yeah.
It happened over several hours, several days of filming.
Exactly.
Because
see, that's what people don't realise.
Because now people come on Invest and they expect everything
every
bang,
minute.
bang, bang.
Yeah.
And we try and explain that. Okay, Most Haunted is on for an hour. They've had 3 or 4 days of filming.
Yeah.
By the time you've got rid of everything else included, you've only got about 15, 20 minutes of Invest. And they've got to squash it all into one, which makes it look a lot better than it actually was.
I think the best thing that comes from it is that it gives you venues. people
Precisely.
think, oh right, I'll go there, and we put venues that we might not have heard of, or
Precisely.
I've been there, but that didn't happen. I'll go back, and everybody suddenly, you can guarantee a venue that had been on Most Haunted was suddenly flooded, like this Ye Old Man and Scythe, because it's been on the news. There's and you know for a fact, they're there. That it's like locusts, like I want to come in, I want to come in.
I watched Most Haunted, and the week it was on, right, I phoned up Hat Green. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
we got it for £8 a head
originally. You know what I mean? So
we was actually hosting Hat Green at that time.
A week later, it was £25 a head.
Yeah. So
it took a week for them to go bang.
But what gets me is, right, I'll be honest with you, people diss Most Haunted, but they were the benchmark really for this group.
They got everybody going,
weren't they, behind it all.
And I must admit, after a while, the only downside of it is that people do come on investigations expecting it every 2 minutes.
Well, exactly.
But apart from that, I think that Yvette and Carl done a bloody good job.
They've done a good job.
I think they did. The only thing that
it's just when they look down the nose at you and they don't acknowledge you. That's the annoying side of things, because
one of the problems I have with them, and we know this is so because the venues told us. And as it happens,
it was when we first started.
As it happens, the venue wasn't interested in charging great meal. He just said, make a donation to this hospice.
Yeah.
But he told us that because they went in and checked his place out, and they turned around and said to him, you can charge £300, £400, £500 a night for this.
Yeah. And it made it look as though
it made it look
was
as if that.
They were taking us out the market.
They were taking everybody else out the market because they were telling venues to charge X amount.
Yeah.
Whereas before they were quite willing to do it for, in some cases, £200-300. All of a sudden, because Most Haunted's been there,
we have seen
it becomes a business. It's a tourist trap.
It suddenly changes, and you're talking £500-700.
Did you ever see the episode where we went to Derby Jail and Richard Felix was running it at the time, Derby Jail, and whatnot? But did you ever see the episode where they went to Derby Jail and they had the crucifix in the cell?
Yes.
And the video camera, what they do, it shows them putting the crucifix on a piece of paper. And it shows them shutting the door, locking the cell door, and there's no exit, no entry into this. And yet this camera, it moves the paper underneath.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were saying that you couldn't see the corner or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was all completely wrong, because you had two cells. Now the cell that they put this in, because we've been there, we knew this, and obviously we were speaking, and we knew about it. The first cell didn't lock.
No.
It showed them putting it in that first cell, but then showed it locking.
Yeah.
That didn't lock. The one next to it locked.
Yeah.
Also, what they didn't show you is round the side was another door into that cell. Yeah. So that was failed to be seen. So as far as we're aware, that door is locked. There's no way in. Wrong. Of course there is. There's another door at the side into that cell.
And was it quite a tight shot as well? Like you couldn't see the surrounding area, you just saw a close up.
Yeah. Anybody who's been to Derby Jail, and there's people who's listening out there, will know that you've got two cells. That one of them's the condemned cell, and the first cell has a separate door on the side, which he was neglected to say. And unfortunately, that's how things went. But I'm not saying that the trigger object didn't move on its own. Fine, but as it gives us a question.
It leaves things open to debate, doesn't it?
Yeah. But as I say, there's talk that they're supposed to be coming back.
They are back.
They are
ghost
back.
hunts.
They're back online. They have online shows which you can pay a subscription.
They're doing ghost hunts as well now. They're taking you on in paranormal investigations.
We haven't seen any of that.
Oh, good luck to them.
So they'll take you there, and then they'll charge you whatever, and get you in, get you out.
Wow.
Maybe you can help us out with this, Chris. PGA said one name: Bingo Brown.
Bingo Brown.
Bingo Brown. Oh, Bingo Brown. Let me think about that. Rings a bell. Bingo Brown. Rings a bell. It's in my head.
Could it be from Derby? Because you were talking about Derby?
It might be, but PJ wasn't at that Derby with us.
No.
I don't know. He wasn't.
Maze.
Bingo Brown. Maze Archer. Was it in the morgue? Was it in the morgue section, that? Bingo Brown. Was it like a pilot?
I don't know.
Bingo Brown. Rings a bell.
Maze
was so long ago.
I know.
So many things.
Been asleep since then, haven't you?
Yeah, it's no,
definitely.
I'm quite jealous actually, because a lot of them venues are like famous now, and
It's
and
like
you don't get to do
Chingle
'em.
Hall. How many people do we know have been to Chingle Hall and are like, "Arr."
Me.
Yeah, see what I
I've
mean?
had Chingle Hall. Special invitation.
He said, "Flight Captain Red Herring."
Like Captain Red.
Ah, yes. That was a setup.
Yeah.
That was a setup.
Yeah.
Which we was told, it was Derek Okora, Maze Archo, and it was Kieran O'Keefe, and it was as a squadron leader or something. He was flying, and Derek Okora gives this name and everything else. It was a red herring given. It wasn't real. And
No.
Derek Okora say, "Oh yeah, this is this SS," and the other. But we were told it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was fake. It was set up.
Well,
to catch him out, and I suppose it's a good thing as a paranormal investigator is to put mediums on that platform to try and give us the proof about these things, and there's no point lying about or fabricating it if it's not true.
Well, all I can say to you is listen to our podcast.
Can I just say,
Derek Okora.
It also begs the question that if he brings it up, was he being told about Bingo Brown?
Or was he channeling that thought from whoever
Somebody
created
else?
it?
Yeah.
Well,
Chris Andrews accepts no responsibility for any libel or anything else that's been put out there. Neither does the KTPF or MNI.
Yeah, I was going to say that at the end, actually. But I must admit, though,
we do actually have
a disclaimer.
A disclaimer saying that
So-
it's your fault, not ours.
It's my fault. I take responsibility for my own
But
actions.
then again, going into something like that, to be honest with you, it's a bit like Steve Merrill was telling me that he done a test, where they went to this house and they told the group that it was haunted, blah blah blah, and they guaranteed they were getting stuff, and then it wasn't until afterwards that he said, "I made it all up."
Placebo, isn't
Yeah.
it? Placebo. People will believe whatever they want.
Yeah.
Well, there's been experiments before where people have created their own ghosts.
Yeah, the Philip experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tulpas and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Yeah.
They made this ghost up, and lo and behold, this particular ghost started to talk to him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which says to me that I'm right.
Well, exactly, and
most
that's
of what
happens.
happens is in here.
Exactly, and that's
it's
what
your
happens.
own mind that's doing it.
And I mean, if people out there thought what I was saying a minute ago could be liable or something, obviously it's not, because obviously what it is, it's a credit to them as well, because they're actually conducting, finding out the truth. That tells them that they was actually setting something up to find the truth and give the truth.
Can I just say to get Chris out of the hole, it is our intention to provide our listeners with different views and outlooks, promoting discussions, although we assume no responsibility of the opinions and beliefs expressed by our guests, callers, listeners or chatters on the KTPF Community Talk Show. The opinions expressed are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them, and we also take no responsibility of the opinions of others in the postings of comments in the chat room or forum posts. No comments that are obscene, sexual in nature, racist, personally offensive or otherwise inappropriate will be accepted, and if you post such comments we will remove them and the offender if necessary. We've done that before.
Yeah, we have indeed. And so in other words, Chris, it wasn't your fault, it was the person that told you. It was his opinion.
Well, yes, and my comments wasn't to brand anybody, it was to say that they must have been providing the proof, because to do that they've actually just exposed the truth, so therefore for Most Haunted was a good thing. So well done, guys.
Debunking, isn't it?
Debunking. Now that was probably the most professional thing that they'd actually done, and not to discredit them again, but that was a professional thing to do by discrediting and bringing it out, so the people out at home would think, hey, well, this is actually good because we're getting true information.
The problem there is, they debunked it, and they did that, but then they kept it to themselves. What good is that?
Well,
because it didn't make good.
I'm not sure if it was aired publicly,
but
it was certainly divulged individually.
Because again, people want some bumps and bangs. It's the same on investigations. It's the same on shows.
Yeah,
they want all that.
I mean, we've been told by a friend of the show that they had to do things a certain way.
Yes.
To
keep it entertaining.
Keep it entertaining and pay the bills.
End of the day, it's a television show, and if nothing happens, people just won't watch it.
Yeah,
and that's how things got to be. if it's on, you know,
I can see me being hung in a minute.
Yeah, because it's I mean, what you say is true in
any television show.
Yeah, if you did a television show the way it actually is, like on our Invest, it wouldn't last 2 minutes.
It'd be
Same
boring,
as your
wouldn't
show,
it?
isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
You got to keep your show entertaining.
Precisely.
Otherwise, nobody'd listen.
Yeah.
It's just the same. And thought it's just the way that's just the rules of life.
Precisely.
It's not.
It's the rules of television.
Yeah, there's nothing against the makers of Most Haunted or anything they're
definitely
connected
not.
with.
Or any other show.
Or any other show.
I know some of them personally, and they're lovely people.
Oh yeah,
I do know them personally.
Yeah, we've met a few of myself, and they are very nice people. But things have to be done.
Of course, yeah, it's just the way life is.
But at the same point, I think that in the case of Most Haunted in particular, I think they should have explained that what they got wasn't just in that time that was on the telly, because that's what a lot of people believe.
Yeah.
They believe, wow, that is mega haunted because all this happened in such a short space of time, in one day, as they say.
Yeah. Well, coming off that subject,
I think they should explain that it's several.
Yeah, a bit of an explanation to the public.
And not just Most Haunted. I mean, the other ones out there as well, Taps, all the rest of them.
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, Ghost Adventures.
I think they should explain to the people watching that yes, we did get this, but we got it over this amount of time, and not because
it makes it look like that every venue they go to, they've got this EVP, like Ghost Adventures or whatever. They've got this EVP now. They may have, but obviously because it's condensed into such a small program, like you just said, into a tiny amount of time,
makes it look
as
fabulous.
though everywhere they go, they've got this, and it just doesn't happen.
That you do get quiet nights. How many quiet nights have you had?
Too many.
In 11 years, I think I've had 10 years, 364 of them.
Well, this is it.
Yeah, I've had one night that might not be, but Margam Castle, when you mentioned before, growling dogs, did you ever experience that?
We didn't get the dogs, no, but on the first one we did, we ended up carrying 3 people out twice.
Yeah.
Really?
So,
they just went out of it and sick.
But as I say, it's but we'll have to see where paranormal investigations go.
I think it's always going to be an interest for people. They're always going to have the passion, but I think that passion is going to be put on the back burner by others out there. I think it's going to be a killer, to be truthful.
Yeah, I think also that the mediumship side of it's going to start to disappear a lot, and it's going to be technical. It's going to be more science based.
I think science should be more.
A lot more equipment and stuff coming in.
Yeah, I think people though they can put too much faith in equipment, where certain equipment may. I mean, equipment's good all in all, and of course it is, and it's good to experiment with it because you're learning new things. But sometimes I think maybe equipment can actually be responsible for creating alleged phenomena to a degree.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways. I mean,
definitely.
People can be put too much faith in what a medium's picking up. I mean, that's not to say any particular medium's right or wrong in what they're getting.
Yeah.
But sometimes you go, that's gospel, and a lot of the time, I mean, you know yourself, when you try and look back and try and find out where these names actually came from a venue, they turn out to be people that work there, and there's just no records of them.
No, this is
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't prove things, then it's a difficult stick to follow.
I mean, we've I think all the time we were going through the record offices and stuff like that, we only found one place that actually bothered to keep a log of who they employed.
See, there's a lot of records in the old days.
None of them did.
Can't be found. There's a lot of places people didn't keep records, like you said, in the old days, and if you came across anything that was a scandal or something like that, it was all things was buried under the carpet and dealt with them themselves. So finding records, I think, is so hard.
Well, in the old days, I mean, in a lot of the places that towns we're looking at, there was no tax or anything to pay, so they didn't need to keep a record. They just paid them what they said they were going to pay them, 2 pence a week or whatever it was, and no records were needed.
So
definitely, I agree wholeheartedly.
So, well, PJ doesn't agree with that, Steve. It needs to be 50-50. Have found loads of stuff over the years, which has turned out good info.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with it. And it does need to be 50-50, but I think it's going to go more technical for a while. And less on the spiritual side of it.
I think that's what's probably. I mean, there's a massive boost of spiritual, and no disrespect to anybody spiritual or anything like that, but there was a massive boost of that, and people let's say mediums would go to people. I want to see a medium. I want to go to see him on a stage or whatever. Yeah. And everybody had a massive. Suddenly they started believing that what a medium would say. That's not again to discredit that what the medium is saying isn't true. No. But the people who believe it without having the proof that it's true. So where it could be just a load of crock, but I'm not saying it is. So there was no potential evidence to support or back up what they're saying. Where I think the scientific side, you can produce them in evidence in front of them in black and white.
I think what it boils down to be honest with you, is like what we were saying earlier, or what Emma was saying earlier. It's going to be a case of the technical side of it's going to be the little groups like us, and the entertainment sides, and that's where it's going to split. It's going to be, things like that. So, but that's what I think.
It's going to be difficult. You're just going to keep going with it.
The big guys are going to keep the entertainment factor up.
They will.
And the little guys are going to be into it for the technical side.
Yeah, I think, but once you get, you
the
can
big
only
guys
get
don't
so
put
big.
cameras up and everything
No,
like that, do they? You just go into the area and say, this is this, and this.
Yeah.
Find it
I think everything goes round, though. It all goes round.
Evidence, isn't it?
If everything goes round, you can only get so big, and then then you just fall, because the more you accumulate, the more greedy certain people become. Precisely. They want more and more and more, and if they start experiencing power, because things like that aren't done for the correct reasons. They're doing it for money, they're doing it for getting a name out there, or whatever the case is. These people will succeed in the future, but at the same time, they will also be their own doing, and they'll topple eventually. Then it'll all go back round again to people like us, who will then carry on doing what we're doing because we're still there to pick up the pieces, and then these will start to rise again because we're pushing them that way. And it'll just keep doing that. But we'll always be here. They won't. But they'll keep coming back, and they'll keep throwing us under.
A bit like fashion.
Yeah, we'll be the Flary Marys, and they'll be the Doc Martens.
Well, we're going to call this to a close, so we'd like to thank you for coming.
I'd rather not be a new romantic.
Thanks for having us.
So, you'd rather what?
Not be a new romantic. He said the Flary Marys.
Flary Marys.
As I say, everyone's enjoyed it in the chat room. They've given their 2 pence as well. And,
which is good. That's what we need.
We like.
Thanks, guys.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? So, and...
thanks, everybody in the chat room there coming in. It's good to see the input.
Just going to let you know what's coming up soon.
Coming soon.
Yeah, that's what's coming up. Next week, we have Carla and Daniel Hehaya, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, from Lifting Spirits Paranormal Society in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And also, we have Paul Rowland from Paradox Electronics. So basically, that's what's coming up next week. So don't forget.
This is where it's at.
Yes, definitely. And I'm sure you'll find Chris back again, won't we, Chris?
I'm like a bad smell. I can't keep away.
Yep. So,
It'd be interesting when you got Paul next week. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah, well, maybe you could. Maybe if he comes over, you can come over as well.
I'll drive up. I'll come up and have a brew with him. Is he coming over?
I don't know. I don't know yet.
If he's Skyping, fine. If he's coming, come on over, Paul, and I'll come up and have a brew with you.
So why not? So, but as I say, you're always welcome to come over, even if it's to help with the guests and have a chat with them and what have you.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be wanted.
You could be our new observation girl.
I love it when you've got people, especially like yourself, because you can talk about different things and you've got something to bounce back and forward.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, isn't it? You're collating together, and it's just being who you are and getting it out there.
So as I say, next week, just to remind you what next week's going to be all about, Carla and her husband would like to be talking about what they do. She's also a medium, rather than called a seer. Hold on, let me just find another part of her email. Where are we? 2 seconds. She did say what she was going to talk about. Where are we? Oh God, when you want something you can't find it. Right. She would like to talk about a paranormal journey, or rather both their paranormal journeys, discuss their paranormal photographs, their tour company, which is as I said, in Pennsylvania, think that's what I said, or was it Pittsburgh? I can't remember now. Gettysburg, anyway. And where we take people on guided tours and provide equipment and teach them how to use it. And of course, her gifts and how I discovered them. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. And also Paul Rowland, who's going to be talking about his equipment. Steve.
Yes. This is not anything to do with paranormal. Just a warning to you guys that are going to be out and about this week. As of tomorrow, there's an amber warning going out to the people in the northwest. Apparently, we're going to get a month's rain in one day and 70-mile-an-hour winds for the next couple of days up here in northwest Scotland, Cumbria, North Wales, and the northwest of England. So you guys that are out and about, be careful.
Well, until next time, all we can say is, all four of us,
Keep
the
it
paranormal friendly. Good night and God bless.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
To see in the night, to measure the spike, to see how cold it's been. I buy my kit so I won't forget the ghosties that I have seen. The Paranormal Intelligence Gathering Services Ghost Store. So visit www.the-pigs.co.uk/ghost store.